Chapter 4021. This is strange. After Jade Archive Xiaohua looked at the Dragon Jade, he noticed that the Dragon Jade had calmed down. There was no change, and the complete dragon transformation art did not appear. He could not help but be surprised. Previously, I could easily see the dragon transformation art. Why is it not possible this time? Oh, could it be that it also needs dragon blood? Jade Archive Xiaohua pondered for a moment. He raised his hand and took out a drop of dragon blood from the dragon's corpse that was previously stored in the space. The drop of dragon blood fell into the rune. The rune melted and decomposed in the dragon blood. In the end, tens of thousands of dragon runes gushed out from the dragon blood like a swarm of ants falling into the dragon jade. Then, the entire Longyu shone with a five-colored brilliance. Halos of light wrapped around the Longyu's body, and like a bamboo, the Longyu was divided into 6 parts. When the brilliance began to calm down, Jade Archive Xiaohua raised his hand and pointed a finger at the tail of the dragon jade. Buzz! The dragon jade issued a rumbling sound. More dragon runes than before turned into strands of crystal light and fell into Jade Archive Xiaohua's hand. Moreover, as the number of crystal light increased, Jade Archive Xiaohua's figure gradually changed. In the end, it also turned into the image of a huge dragon. However, this huge dragon's eyes were tightly closed. A halo appeared on its scales, resonating with the flickering of the dragon jade. After an unknown amount of time, the dragon shape shook and Jade Archive Xiaohua's figure appeared within the dragon shape. Longyu's halo also retracted. The runes that had disappeared appeared once again as the light rushed into the dragon head. Hee. Jade Archive Xiaohua opened his eyes. There was a trace of ecstasy on his face. No wonder Ao Jiao wanted to take this dragon jade away from Dragon Island. This dragon jade actually concealed a mystery. Not only does it have the dragon transformation art that I wanted, it also has the inheritance of Dragon Island's heavenly dragon language technique. This is strange. This heavenly dragon language technique. Why didn't it pass down through the bloodline of the dragon clan? Why did it pass down through this dragon jade? Moreover, this dragon transformation art is actually not a secret technique for demon beasts to cultivate into dragons. In the inheritance of Dragon Island's dragon clan, there is a method to mold the body in the dragon cleansing pool. However, since this method can mold the body, it can also be used to temper the body. Especially for demon beasts like Little White Dragon, whose original form is a python, it can use the dragon transformation art to cultivate and evolve into a dragon. As such, it became the so-called dragon transformation art. Ao Jiao only has the first half of Longyu's body. Without the complete dragonization incantation, it's impossible for him to reconstruct his body in the dragon cleansing pool. Damn it, so the dragon cleansing pool wasn't what I thought it would be. The Little White Dragon's body would be molded as soon as it entered. However, Little White Dragon was already able to transform from a python into a dragon, completing all 9 levels of the dragonization incantation. Now, all that's left is just a few crucial parts. He only needs to cultivate a little more. Thinking of this, Jade Archive Xiaohua flashed into the mysterious dark clouds. Seeing Jade Archive Xiaohua appear, the Little White Dragon hurriedly asked, "Xiaohua, where are you now? I feel that the draconic energy here is too dense. What's up with the soul that you and I devoured? My soul seems to be undergoing some inexplicable changes." This is the Dragon Island's stacked Jade Legacy realm. The Jade Archive Xiaohua explained the ins and outs of the matter. The dragon cleansing pool that can remodel your body is here. However, if you want to remodel your body, you must first cultivate the complete dragonization art. Of course, the Little White Dragon smiled and said, "Isn't my dragonization art complete?" Speaking of this, the Little White Dragon came to a realization. Could it be, my dragonization art isn't complete? I still can't remodel my body? What should I do? The dragon race can't be compared to our human race. Similarly, it can't be compared to your original body. Jade Archive Xiaohua explained, the dragon body is very mysterious. Not only can it absorb the power of the stars and moon, it can also absorb draconic energy. The dragon race even has the heavenly dragon technique. Therefore, the remodel of the dragon body isn't as simple as we thought. It requires a special method to successfully remodel it. And this method is the dragonization art. Xiaohua, could it be that you found the last piece of the dragon jade? The little white dragon finally understood and said in surprise. That's right. Jade Archive. Xiaohua extended his index finger, and like a cold star, it landed between the little white dragon's eyebrows. It was also the place where the rune of the dragon jade was located. Boom! The little white dragon felt one rune after another rushing into his mind. He didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly coiled his body to carefully comprehend it. Jade Archive. Xiaohua withdrew his index finger and looked at the little white dragon's soul. He nodded slightly and looked at Soul Cultivator Xiaohua inside the soul formation sky. At this time, Soul Cultivator Xiaohua looked a little strange. His whole body was several times bigger than before. In addition to his original appearance, there were also scales on his skin. These scales were faintly discernible, and there were also thousands of dragon patterns. Above Soul Cultivator Xiaohua's closed eyes, there were even two phantoms that looked like dragon horns. It seems that eating too much dragon soul also has its disadvantages. I'm afraid this dragon image won't disappear in a short time. Jade Archive. Xiaohua smiled and flashed out of the mysterious cloud. He shouted, "Where is fellow Taoist dragon bloodline?" "Many thanks, fellow Taoist." Dragon bloodline. Xiaohua's figure appeared, his face filled with ecstasy. "I have a place to cultivate in the future. This dragon jade not only has the dragon transformation art, but also so many heavenly dragon technique and other dragon clan techniques. This time, we have really hit the jackpot." Fellow Taoist should quickly comprehend the dragon transformation art. Jade Archive. Xiaohua smiled proudly. If there is a chance, fellow Taoist should also follow the little white dragon's body molding. Okay. Dragon bloodline. Xiaohua agreed and his figure disappeared. Jade Archive. Xiaohua returned to the space and instructed the green-robed Xiaohua a few words. He was preparing to help the green-robed Xiaohua comprehend the dragon transformation's secret art with him. Suddenly, Jade Archive. Xiaohua's expression changed and he immediately escaped from the space. Outside the space, inside the stacked Jade Heritage realm, the wind howled like a tiger. Another round of scenery began to change. Xiaohua's figure swayed along with the cave in the air. Really troublesome. Xiaohua stabilized his figure and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Xiao has just adapted to the appearance of the stacked Jade Heritage realm, and now I have to start again. Who knows what the scenery will be like after this? At this time, the gravel in front of the cave had already been blown away by the wind without a trace. Xiaohua hid in the cave and looked at the scenery outside that was as gorgeous as a layer of dusk. Inside, not only were there mountain ridges shifting, there were also many dragons struggling. After several hours, the changes in the scenery began to slow down. Boom! Xiaohua's figure shook and the mountain range also fell. It's finally over. Xiaohua smiled. Now I can cultivate in peace for a while. Unfortunately, just as Xiaohua closed his eyes, outside the cave, the sound of wind rose again. Then with a loud boom, something hit the mountain range not far from Xiaohua. In these several hours, there were indeed many things that collided with the mountain range, but this time was different. A low groan sounded from that place, and then, a spiritual sense similar to an elemental thought swept through the cave and landed on Xiaohua's body. A faint human voice sounded in Xiaohua's ear. Xiaohua smiled bitterly. At this time, it was already too late for him to hide anything. After thinking for a while, he simply walked out of the cave and looked up. The scenery outside the cave had completely changed. A tall man with a full beard was wearing armor and holding a long spear in his hand. He was standing on top of a mountain rock not far away in astonishment. This man's armor was already abnormally damaged. There were many bloodstains on the armor, and there was even a bloody wound on the man's neck. Xiaohua, Taoist Master Xiao. When the man saw Xiaohua, he recognized him at a glance and asked curiously, "Why are you hiding in the cave?" Xiaohua smiled and said, "This stacked jade heritage realm is full of slaughter, and this Xiao's Dharma body is the delicious food of those dragons. This Xiao is not a descendant of the dragons. Coming to this stacked jade heritage realm to train is just a coincidence, and I don't plan to gain anything from this training. Therefore, this Xiao simply found a place to hide, and when the time comes to train, I'll just follow you out." So that's how it is. When the man heard this, he said somewhat enviously, "Taoist master's calm heart actually makes this one jealous. This one risked my life to enter the Dragon Island to train, just to obtain some of the ancient dragon's legacy. Now that I'm in the stacked jade heritage realm, I clearly know that I'm the prey of others, but I can't help but be greedy for some things. Oh, Taoist Master Xiao, this one is Jing Province's Ao Fengping. Previously, I saw Taoist Master in the Dragon Chi territory." "Oh, so it's Jing Province's Taoist Ao." Xiaohua cupped his hands and said with a smile, "This one wishes Taoist Ao victory in advance, and success on the spot." When Ao Fengping heard this, he hurriedly waved his hand. He lowered his head to look at his appearance, and said with a bitter smile, "Taoist Master must be joking. Look at this one's sorry state. Just now, this one was sneak attacked by a cunning dragon. If it wasn't for this change in scenery, I'm afraid I would have already fallen into the dragon's stomach. But now, even if this one dodged the sneak attack, his injuries are quite heavy." Xiaohua nodded. "Since it's like this, Taoist Ao can heal his injuries here. This one can protect Taoist Ao." When Ao Fengping heard this, his eyebrows raised in joy, and he said with a smile, "Then I'll have to trouble Taoist Master." As he spoke, Ao Fengping took out a box of medicine from his bosom and consumed it. Immediately, clouds gushed out from his body, and wisps of awe-inspiring aura inexplicably gushed out, covering the surface of Ao Fengping's body. This is actually a bit strange. Seeing that Ao Fengping was actually able to use the Confucian cultivation technique in the stacked jade heritage realm, Xiaohua was a bit bewildered. How can he use the Confucian cultivation technique? After a full 2 hours, Ao Fengping finally withdrew his true qi, and then took out another set of armor to change into. "All right, Taoist Ao." Xiaohua cupped his hands again. "Since your injuries have already healed, this one will return to hide." "Taoist Master?" Ao Fengping hurriedly said, "This one has something to say, but I don't know if I should say it or not." If Ao Xing had said so, Xiaohua would have directly replied with, "Since you don't know, then don't say it." But looking at Ao Fengping's sincerity, and thinking that they were both in the stacked jade heritage realm, he still nodded and said, "Taoist Ao, please speak. This one is all ears." Chapter 4022. Taoist Master Xiao, I want to say 2 things. Ao Fengping softly said, "First, the stacked jade legacy realm is not like the other places on Dragon Island. This is a fragment of the dragon domain. There are countless treasures inside. If Taoist Master can find one, it will definitely have a significant effect on your future cultivation." Taoist Master entered the legacy realm and actually hid in this mountain range to cultivate. Isn't this the so-called entering a treasure mountain and returning empty-handed? If Taoist Master regrets in the future, you won't have this kind of opportunity again. Then what about the second? Xiaohua asked thoughtfully. Second, in this stacked jade legacy realm, our human cultivators have become food for the dragons. Taoist Master's cultivation is extraordinary. How can you watch so many humans being eaten by the dragons? Taoist Master is a cultivator of the Tao sect. If you don't take this opportunity to form a relationship with the descendants of the dragons, when will you? The descendants of the dragons are also a force that can't be ignored in the hidden immortal continent. In the future, in fact, there is no need to wait for the future. Taoist Master's current strength is already intolerable by the Immortal Palace. If Taoist Master doesn't want to be killed by the Immortal Palace, forming a relationship with the descendants of the dragons is a bright path. If I form a good relationship with Dragon Island, wouldn't it be more beneficial for me to fight against the Immortal Palace? Xiaohua asked back. Taoist Master is looking down on Dragon Island too much. Ao Fengping laughed. Dragon Island has always only cared about the dragons of the 9 clans on the island. They don't even care about the dragon palace of the 4 seas, let alone us descendants of the dragons. As for forming a relationship with Taoist Master, it is only a joke in their eyes. That day when Taoist Master revealed his dragon body in the Dragon Chi realm, they thought of using Taoist Master. This kind of scheme, Taoist Master doesn't know. Then what does fellow immortal Ao mean? Xiaohua asked with a smile that was not a smile. Ao Fengping replied, I have made an appointment with some fellow immortal to go to a certain place in the Legacy realm. If Taoist Master can, please follow me. With my strength, I'm afraid I can't reach there safely. With Taoist Master's help, I have confidence. You actually know the place in the stacked Jade Legacy realm? Xiaohua was a bit surprised. And you have a relationship with some fellow immortal? Could it be that you have already planned it? Hee hee. Ao Fengping smiled proudly. Since we are descendants of the dragons, we naturally have our secrets. The stacked Jadeite Legacy realm is the most important part of the Dragon Island. We naturally know some of the secrets inside. Don't worry, Taoist Master. We're all cultivators of the human race. There's something vital to the cultivation of the human race there. If Taoist Master can help us, we definitely won't disappoint you. Can you tell this Xiao what it is and where it is? Xiaohua probed. Ao Fengping hesitated for a moment. Then he shook his head and said, This? I'm afraid I can't casually tell you this. When Xiaohua heard this, he shook his head even more. Then why would I go? The Dragon Chi here is very rich. Even if this Xiao casually cultivates a bit, it will still be stronger than outside. This Xiao will not do things that I have no confidence in. Alright. Ao Fengping thought for a moment and said, I can tell you the name of that place, but I can't tell you what it is. Xiaohua asked, Where? Deep are you? Ao Fengping immediately replied. Xiaohua's body shook violently. He swept a glance at Ao Fengping and asked curiously, Why did you go to that place? Oh, forget it. Pretend I didn't ask. Then, Xiaohua pondered for a moment. He pinched his chin and bargained with a smile that wasn't a smile. This? If you tell this Xiao the secret to activating the true Qi of a Confucian cultivator in the folded Jade Legacy realm, this Xiao can consider it. Ao Fengping didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He looked at Xiaohua and said, Taoist Master, what do you want that Confucian cultivator's secret technique for? That thing can only be activated by Confucian cultivators with Dragon Qi. You're a Taoist cultivator. That secret technique is useless to you. This Xiao also understands Confucian cultivators. Xiaohua said with a smile. If you tell this secret technique to this Xiao will have another magical ability to help you. Isn't this what you need? Ah. Ao Fengping was surprised but also overjoyed. He hurriedly took out a jade eye and respectfully handed it to Xiaohua. Taoist Master is really amazing. You're actually a Confucian cultivator. My previous words were rude. Don't worry. Xiaohua took the jade eye and placed it on his forehead. He looked at it while waving his hand. Ao Fengping smiled. He was puzzled again. Since Taoist Master is a Confucian cultivator, even if you have some outstanding Taoist cultivation, the Immortal Palace won't force you like this, right? Now that Taoist Master and the Immortal Palace are in a terrible situation, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with them in the future. Alas, this matter is hard to explain in a few words. Let's not talk about it. Xiaohua sighed. He looked around and said, Since we're going, we'll leave now. You lead the way. This Xiao will study this jade eye for a while. Taoist Master doesn't need to be anxious. Ao Fengping said with a smile. There are some other secret techniques in this jade eye. Taoist Master should take a look. Okay, Xiaohua said. He gave the jade eye to Xiaohua and asked again, right? The scenery in the folded Jade Legacy realm has completely changed. How can you find the location of Deep Air Lake? Ao Fengping's figure flew up. It was actually a Confucian cultivator's flying technique. He smiled mysteriously. This is of course a little secret of us dragon race descendants. Although the strength of the human race can't be compared to the dragon race, The dragon race can't compare with their brains. Xiaohua smiled. He thought to himself, Ao Xing is a small clan elder of this dragon island. Even he can't be sure that he can find Deep Air Lake. Ao Fengping, a human outside of this dragon island, can do it. Just thinking about it makes me feel strange. What kind of secret is there in Deep Air Lake that can't be hidden by experts? Along the way, Ao Fengping kept changing directions. Sometimes he even had to turn back. However, Ao Fengping never had the slightest hesitation. It was as if he knew exactly where he was going. Unknowingly, more than 10 days had passed. Although they met some dragon race members during this period of time, they were all around the 5th or 6th grade of elemental energy. Their true strength couldn't be counted as anything. They were completely relying on the draconic chi of the stacking jade legacy realm to bully others. Facing Xiaohua, they were miserable. Xiaohua didn't release Dragon Vein Xiaohua. He only let Dragon Vein Xiaohua control the draconic chi within 10 miles. He himself used both his hands and feet to become a dragon-subduing arhat. He took all the Dragon Vein Xiaohua into his space. Ao Fengping was dumbstruck. He had seen fierce people, powerful people, but when had he ever seen a Taoist cultivator who treated the dragon race like a loach? Wasn't this a little too fierce? That reverence in his heart was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. So much so that in the end, that reverence in his heart turned into fear and unease. He even suggested in a low voice, Taoist master. Occasionally killing a dragon race member doesn't count as anything, but Taoist master took in so many dragon race members. Aren't you afraid that the dragon island will get angry? After all, the dragon race is originally very few, and the dragon race itself reproduces extremely slowly. Every dragon, especially the pure-blooded dragon race, they are all recorded in the Dragon Book of the Dragon Island. The dragon race members who entered the Stacking Jade Legacy realm this time all have great origins. You doing this? Hee if you don't say it and I don't say it, who would know? Xiaohua looked at Ao Fengping with a double meaning and replied with a grin. Alas, I was wrong. At this moment, Ao Fengping was already regretting. He clearly knew that Xiaohua was hiding in the cave to meditate, but it definitely wasn't hiding as Xiaohua had said. As for what Xiaohua's purpose was, Ao Fengping was afraid that even if he cracked his head, he still wouldn't be able to figure it out. Since you're regretting it, then you and I can part ways here. Xiaohua smiled as he took out the jade eye and returned it to Ao Fengping, saying, however, fellow Taoist Ao won't be able to take back those secret techniques. Alas, it's too late. Ao Fengping raised his eyes to look at the distant mountain peak that seemed to be covered by a thick fog and said, We've already arrived at the edge of the deep Eryun. Is that so? Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat as he looked into the distance. He was somewhat bewildered. Since he had already arrived at the edge of the deep Eryun, then what about Ao Xing? Where did that Ao Xing who claimed to be able to find him at any time run off to? Could it be that Ao Xing didn't come to the deep Eryun at all? Just as they were talking, Ao Fengping stopped in midair and said in a low voice, Taoist Xiao, please wait a moment. Immediately, Ao Fengping took out a fist-sized object from his bosom. This object looked like a walnut. It was black and had many wrinkles on it. Ao Fengping placed the object in his mouth and circulated his true qi. He used all his strength to blow into a groove on the object. Xiaohua's ears didn't hear anything, but he could sense that there was a strange fluctuation coming from it. After Ao Fengping finished blowing, he put away that object and quietly waited in midair. His 2 ears slightly flapped, and after a long while, his ears trembled as if he had heard something. Then he softly said to Xiaohua, Taoist Xiao, there's been some unforeseen events. Right now, we can't directly go to the deep Eryun. Taoist Xiao, please follow me. Xiaohua disagreed and nodded. I'll listen to Taoist Xiao's arrangements. All right, Ao Fengping didn't dare to be negligent. He descended and brought Xiaohua to a nearby valley. Xiaohua followed Ao Fengping and didn't release his true qi. At this time, he turned around a large stone in the valley, and his eyes lit up again. This was a bright and spacious place. The surroundings looked tall, but compared to other places, they were somewhat short fruit trees. Some lantern-like fruits hung on the fruit trees' branches. These fruits looked unripe and didn't have any special fragrance. Within these fruit trees, there were some collapsed fences and broken walls. When Xiao Hua and Ao Fengping appeared, 3 human cultivators in the fruit trees raised their heads and looked at the two rather vigilantly. "This is Taoist Xiao Hua, Taoist Xiao," Ao Fengping hurriedly introduced. "I presume that the 3 of you have already met in the Dragon Qi realm. When I just arrived here, I was attacked by the Dragon Clan of the West Sea, and then I encountered the changes in the Forgotten Realm. After that, I met Taoist Xiao. When I was recuperating, Taoist Xiao stood guard for me. Thinking that we needed manpower and that Taoist Xiao possessed remarkable abilities, I boldly invited Taoist Xiao to come with me." "Tao Fengpu, you are too bold." A human cultivator coldly said, "What authority do you have to bring a stranger here?" Chapter 4023. That's right. What did we discuss before? The other human cultivator's face was also unkind as he asked. Ao Fengping's face was somewhat embarrassed as he said, "I naturally know about the previous agreement, but without Taoist Xiao, I wouldn't have been able to come here. Moreover, Taoist Xiao is a human cultivator. You all have seen his bloodline Dharma body. He is also a descendant of the Dragon Clan, so he is also qualified to participate." "Shut up," the first human cultivator berated. "Don't quibble about anything. You are blatantly arbitrary. You two don't need to say anything more." The other human cultivator laughed. "Since Taoist Xiao has come here, he must also know about the matter of deep Uri. What's the use of saying so much? Since we need manpower, Taoist Xiao's arrival will be a great help." Immediately, the human cultivator turned his head and said, "I am Qing Zhou's Ao Jianhong. Greetings, Taoist Xiao." "Greetings, fellow Taoist Ao." Xiao Hua smiled as he cupped his hands towards Ao Jianhong and said, "Since these 2 fellow Taoists don't welcome this Xiao, and this Xiao also brought fellow Taoist Ao Fengping here as an explanation to Ao Fengping, this Xiao won't stay here any longer. This is goodbye." Before Ao Jianhong could speak, the 2 human cultivators from before shouted at the same time, "Since you are here, how can you come and go as you please?" Ao Fengping was shocked. He was clear about Xiao Hua's strength. He was afraid of causing trouble, so he hurriedly shouted, "Fellow Taoists, don't be anxious. Taoist Xiao, please calm down. This old man will leave if he wants to leave, and stay if he wants to stay." Xiao Hua smiled coldly and said indifferently, "This old man wants to see who dares to keep this Xiao. You dare to leave." The 2 human cultivators flew up and blocked Xiao Hua's path. Just as they were about to draw their swords, another wave of strange fluctuations came from another direction. Ao Jianhong saw it and immediately advised, "Ao Yunqing, Ao Yuzhong, don't be anxious. There are only 4 people here. Ao Fengping and I agree that Taoist Xiao should leave, but we can't make a decision now. How about we listen to fellow Taoists' opinion?" Ao Jianhong hurriedly took out something similar to Ao Fengping and said something while blowing it. "Why would Xiao Hua care about this?" he said indifferently. "How can the likes of you decide where I come and go?" As he spoke, Xiao Hua's figure floated up, and he didn't even look at Ao Yunqing and Ao Yuzhong before flying out of the gorge. Taoist Master Xiao. Ao Jianhong saw that Xiao Hua wasn't giving him any face, and his complexion slightly changed. Ao Fengping, who was at the side, also knew Xiao Hua's temperament these days. He knew that Xiao Hua was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. He hastily pulled on Ao Jianhong's scholarly robe, hinting Ao Jianhong to stop talking. Ao Yunqing and Ao Yuzhong coldly snorted at the same time and raised their hands at the same time. 2 barricade-like confinement forces were born, and like shackles, they closed in on Xiao Hua's flying figure. With one look, it was clear that the 2 of them had practiced joint attack techniques. Xiao Hua coldly smiled, and his figure suddenly moved strangely. He raised his right fist and with a boom, his fist hit Ao Yunqing's strength. With a crisp sound, that awe-inspiring chi was instantly collapsed by Xiao Hua's attack. Xiao Hua's fist didn't stop, and it passed through space. With a pa sound, it hit Ao Yunqing's body. The true chi around Ao Yunqing's body surged, and his figure flew back uncontrollably, shua. Xiaohua didn't chase after Ao Yunqing. Instead, he raised his left hand and casually chopped down. The true Qi sword in his left hand suddenly split Ao Yuzhong's strength into two halves. Even Ao Yuzhong's scholarly robe, which was not far away, had a sword mark. Ah? Ao Yuzhong and Ao Yunqing both turned pale with fright. Your scholarly cultivation technique is not bad. If you were outside the overlapping Jadeite legacy realm, you would still have the strength to fight with this old man. Xiaohua coldly snorted, and his figure didn't stop. He indifferently flew over and said, "But under this dragon Qi, you're using scholarly cultivation techniques again. In this old man's eyes, it's just a child's play." Hearing Xiaohua's words, the two of them were ashamed and angry. They looked at each other, and at the same time raised their hands to slap their foreheads. A clear sound rang out, and two dragon Qi emitted from their bodies. Soon after, two dark dragon blood dharma bodies rushed out with bared fangs and brandished claws. Damn it! Ao Fengping didn't dare to wait any longer. Thinking that Xiaohua had even captured a real dragon, how could Ao Yuzhong and Ao Yunqing's dragon blood dharma bodies be his opponent? They couldn't even be counted as an appetizer. Taoist Master Xiao? Why are you here? Seeing that the situation was already bad, when Ao Fengping didn't know what to do, a clear voice sounded from afar. Wasn't it Ao Moyun whom Xiaohua was familiar with? Xiaohua's figure stopped in the air. Looking at Ao Yuzhong and Ao Yunqing's ink-colored dragon blood dharma bodies, and then thinking about Ao Moyun's pitch-black dragon body in the Dragon Qi realm, he seemed to have understood something. Hee, Mr. Moyun, we meet again. Xiaohua ignored the two dragon descendants who thought themselves infallible. He cupped his hands towards Ao Moyun and said meaningfully, "It seems that Mr. Moyun came to the overlapping Jadeite legacy realm prepared long ago." Ao Moyun also didn't have any special secrets. He said with a smile, "What the spiritual master said is right. I came to the Dragon Island to gain experience because of this deep Yuan." Saying that, Ao Moyun turned his head and berated Ao Yuzhong and Ao Yunqing. "Why aren't you too quickly withdrawing your dharma bodies? These methods are useless in front of the spiritual master. Moreover, the spiritual master is a merciful and compassionate person. He definitely won't spoil our plans." The two seemed to listen to Ao Moyun's words. They withdrew their dragon blood dharma bodies, flew to the side, and stood there seemingly unconvinced. "Spiritual Master Xiao, don't lower yourself to their level," Ao Moyun said with a smile. "Presumably, the spiritual master has already seen it on the traveling Dragon Island. Because of this matter, too many dragon descendants have been lost. We have to be careful. This matter has nothing to do with this Xiao." Xiaohua waved his hand. "This Xiao just happened to meet Ao Fengping and sent him here. This Xiao will pretend that he didn't see anything. Goodbye." Hee, spiritual master, don't worry. Ao Moyun hurriedly said again, "I was saved by the spiritual master on the traveling Dragon Island earlier, but I never had the opportunity to repay you. Now that I see the spiritual master again, it's the heavens who gave me to the spiritual master. It's also an opportunity for me to repay the spiritual master." "What do you mean?" Xiaohua's heart moved and he asked. Ao Moyun looked around, raised his hand and said, "Spiritual master, please come with me. I'll break it down for you." Good. Xiaohua was still at ease with Ao Moyun. He nodded and followed Ao Moyun to the broken wall between the fruit trees. "Spiritual Master Xiao." Ao Moyun pointed at the fruit trees and said with a smile, "Does the spiritual master know what these fruit trees are?" "How would I know?" Xiaohua glanced at the fruit and replied, "Spiritual master can pick a few fruits to try." "Oh? Is there anything strange about it?" Xiaohua was slightly taken aback. He raised his hand and sure enough, the fruits on the fruit trees didn't move at all, as if they were cast in iron. Xiaohua was about to use more strength when Ao Moyun hurriedly stopped him. "I know that the spiritual master is strong. Spiritual master shouldn't use too much strength. This is the dragon heart fruit of the dragon domain. It's precious. However, the dragon heart fruit can't be picked from the fruit tree before it ripens. Otherwise, it will turn into water vapor and disappear." That's strange. Xiao Hua withdrew his hand and said puzzledly, the stacked jade Forgotten Realm has been closed for so many years, and the time inside is different from the Dragon Island. This dragon heart fruit should have ripened, right? Why is it still like this? I don't know. Ao Moyun shook her head. It seems that the ripening of the dragon heart fruit requires other opportunities, right? What's the use of the dragon heart fruit? Xiao Hua asked again. Ao Moyun shook her head and said, I don't know the specific use, but it is said that the profound armor pentagonal holy dragon obtained a ripe dragon heart fruit in the stacked jade Forgotten Realm. Tish. Xiao Hua didn't believe it and shook his head. The dragon race only has one great sage of the demon race, and there are many rumors about him. Who knows which is true and which is false? At this point, Xiao Hua rolled his eyes and asked again, since the dragon heart fruit can't leave the fruit trees, can the fruit trees leave the land of the stacked jade Forgotten Realm? I don't know either. Ao Moyun smiled even more bitterly, not knowing why Xiao Hua asked this. Then let me see whether it is true or not. As Xiao Hua spoke, he flew in front of a dragon heart fruit tree, and a bronze brilliance appeared around his body, turning into a transcendence golden body that was several hundred feet in size. Then he raised his hand and grabbed a fruit tree. Following Xiao Hua's light command, a dragon heart fruit tree was easily pulled out by him. Taoist Xiao, what are you doing? Ao Moyun was shocked. Xiao Hua ignored her and moved one after another. In a short moment, he had pulled out more than half of the fruit trees, making Ao Yuzhong and the others dumbfounded. Taoist Xiao, stop. Ao Moyun hurriedly stopped him. This dragon heart fruit is an extremely important part of the stacked jade Forgotten Realm. If you continue to pull it out, I'm afraid this place will no longer exist. After the Dragon Island knows, they will definitely investigate. Hee. Xiao Hua withdrew his transcendence golden body and landed. He clapped his hands and said with a smile, it seems that this fruit tree can still survive after leaving the land of the stacked jade Forgotten Realm. Taoist Xiao. Ao Moyun didn't understand Xiao Hua's actions. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry and said, Taoist Xiao, why do you have to do this? I just want to use this dragon heart fruit to explain to you that there are countless ancient treasures in the stacked jade Forgotten Realm, and that there is an ancient golden core in the deep air abyss that can be used by Dao sect cultivators. Ancient golden core? Xiao Hua was shocked and asked, how can there be a golden core used by Dao sect cultivators in the Long Yu fragment? Besides, even if there is one here, how do you know? Ao Moyun chuckled and said, Taoist Xiao doesn't need to ask how I know. When I heard this news that day, the first person I thought of was Taoist Xiao. With Taoist Zhao's current cultivation, it is suitable for him to take this golden core. This golden core is simply prepared for Taoist Xiao. That day, this was just a piece of news, I can't guarantee it. Chapter 4024. Mr. Moyun, why don't you tell me why there are golden cores used by Dao sect cultivators here? Xiao Hua asked with interest. Ao Moyun asked straightforwardly, I wonder if Taoist Xiao has heard of the heavenly dragon language technique? I didn't know before, I only found out after coming to Dragon Island. Then does Taoist Xiao feel that this heavenly dragon language technique has anything to do with Dao sect techniques? Ao Moyun's words hit Xiao Hua's heart. Xiao Hua's heart jumped for no reason. I have some thoughts, but I don't have any answers. Fellow Taoist Ao Zhantian also has the same doubts in his heart. Ao Moyun explained, however, according to his thoughts, the Dragon Clan is a demon clan, but they are separated from the demon clan and have a separate Dragon Island. Moreover, the Dragon Clan is closer to the human clan. It is very likely that it is related to this heavenly dragon language technique. Although the human clan's Dao sect has declined in the hidden immortal continent, it was extremely powerful in ancient times. At that time, the Dragon Clan and the human clan might have been one family. This heavenly dragon language technique might be a Dao sect technique itself. In that case, if Dao sect cultivators can refine pills, why can't the Dragon Clan do so? Even if the Dragon Clan can't refine pills, what's so strange about Dao sect cultivators refining pills for the Dragon Clan? An ancient golden core appearing in this Dragon Realm fragment. That's even less strange, right? Ao Moyun had obviously thought about it a long time ago. One sentence after another moved Xiao Hua's heart. Yes, since the Dragon Clan can use the Heavenly Dragon language technique, why can't they take Golden Cores? The origin of the Golden Core appearing in this Dragon Realm fragment must be extraordinary. The Dragon Realm is comparable to the immortal world. How can this Golden Core be an ancient Golden Core? Xiao Hua thought to himself. Actually, now that I think about it, this Golden Core might not be used by the Dragon Clan. Ao Moyun struck while the iron was hot again. Maybe it's a useless pill refined by the Dragon Clan, and it was left here because it was useless. That's why the Dragon Clan hasn't taken it away for so many years. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and thought for a moment. Finally, he sighed and said, Mr. Moyun, it's not that I'm not greedy for this ancient Golden Core. The problem is that after entering the deep air abyss, I will be in a difficult position. When we entered the stacked Jade Legacy realm, I'm sure Mr. Moyun had already seen who I was with. Ah! Ao Moyun was startled and hurriedly said, Reverend, are you saying that Ao Xing has a good relationship with me? He has Dragon Island behind him. Mr. Mo Yuan has a good relationship with me too. You have the human race behind you. Xiao Hua explains, moreover, this Xiao really doesn't want to participate in the grudges between your Gui tribe and Dragon Island. Therefore, even if that gold core is very tempting, this Xiao also doesn't want to obtain it. Goodbye. Hiss. Hearing that Xiao Hua knew so much, Ao Moyun was dumbfounded. He sucked in a mouthful of cold air and blankly looked at Xiao Hua cupping his hands and flying away. Mr. Moyun. Ao Yuzhong hastily flew over and anxiously said, How can you let Xiao Hua go? If he reveals our whereabouts, what should we do? There's no need to be afraid of being exposed. Ao Moyun shook his head and said, Our whereabouts have already been exposed. Or rather, the Dragon Island already knows the location of the deep air abyss. Quick, informed the leader, we have to enter the deep air abyss as soon as possible. Buzz buzz. At this time, at the location of the deep air abyss in the distance, the entire space was shaking. The fog that originally covered the mountain range quickly filled the entire heaven and earth along with the shaking, and the blurry mountain range became clear. It didn't seem to be any different from the mountain range they had encountered before. Quick! Seeing this, Ao Moyun hastily urged, We are already too late. The leader has already made his move in the deep air abyss. Let's go quickly. Alright. Whether it was Ao Yuzhong or Ao Fengping, they didn't have time to care about Xiao Hua's departure at this time. They hastily urged their figures and rushed in the direction of the deep air abyss. Xiao Hua had only flown a few thousand feet away. Naturally, he also sensed the change. That cloud of fog rolled up and formed a cloud pattern that rushed past him and spread far away. Xiao Hua somewhat reluctantly turned his head to look and sighed, Alas, ancient gold core, I also want it. Unfortunately, one side is Ao Sheng and Dragon Island, and the other side is Ao Moyun's Gui tribe. I don't want to help anyone. Moreover, in this Xiao's opinion, the possibility of Gui tribe's defeat is extremely high. The elders of the Dragon Palace Hall are not fools. Since they dared to let you enter the stacked Jade Legacy realm, they must have some means. Anyway, this Xiao has already reminded Ao Moyun. If they insist on going their own way, then there is no other way. However, just now, I seem to have heard Ao Moyun mention some leader. This human is really mysterious. I don't know who he is. But what does this have to do with this Xiao? This Xiao has obtained the Dragon Heart Fruit. There are still many dragon crystals outside to pick up. When Ao Sheng comes out from the deep air abyss, there is no need to wait for him. This Xiao will go find the dragon cleansing pool and help little white dragon form its body. After that, we will wait for the stacked Jade Legacy realm to close. Xiao Hua's little abacus was extremely good. Unfortunately, after flying for several hundred miles, an invisible barrier suddenly appeared in front of him. It was the end of the layer of fog. This barrier was very strange. Xiao Hua flew to this place and actually couldn't pass through. Xiao Hua tried to use the Transcendence Golden Body, the Confucian Cultivator's Flying Sword, and the Delusion Breaker Dharma Eye, but it was all to no avail. Damn it! Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Could it be that this Xiao needs to activate the Devil Blade? Xiaohua naturally wouldn't activate the Devil Blade for the sake of escaping. He tried a few more methods and simply gave up. Turning his head to look in the direction of the deep air abyss, he said with a bitter smile, "Looks like this deep air abyss needs to be visited. However, this Xiao will definitely not make a move. They can fight however they want. This Xiao will take advantage of the chaos to look for that ancient golden core." Thus, the greedy Xiaohua finally turned back. When Xiaohua flew to the left side of the deep air abyss, he activated the dragon race's invisibility technique and quietly approached. When Xiaohua flew closer, he could see clearly. That deep air abyss was a huge ring-shaped mountain range. At a glance, he couldn't see the end of it. Perhaps it was thousands of miles in size? This ring-shaped mountain range was light black in color. The heavy rocks that stretched thousands of miles also reflected the black color. It looked very strange. What was strange was not only the mountain range, but also the ring-shaped space in the middle of the mountain range. The naked eye couldn't penetrate it. It could only be seen that there was a layer of similarly black dragon patterns in the space. The black dragon patterns were like grass in the grassland. Each dragon pattern was like a tiny dragon, and each dragon pattern was emitting a kind of condescending dragon might. When Xiaohua's gaze fell on it, he couldn't help but feel small in his heart. Looking at the black dragon patterns, he saw that there were already two groups facing each other. The ones closest to Xiaohua were Ao Moyun and a dozen other humans and monsters. They gathered together, and in front of them were another dozen or so huge dragons. Opposite them were completely made up of dragons, and the one in front was Ao Sheng. Xiaohua's gaze fell on Ao Sheng. Ao Sheng very strangely tilted his neck and twisted his dragon head toward Xiaohua. "Damn it," Xiaohua secretly cursed in his heart. "This little bastard must have sensed that I came to the deep air abyss. That's why he didn't go back to look for me. I hid here and there, but I still couldn't hide." These dragons behind him should be the helpers he found using the dragon race's secret technique after he found the deep air abyss. But why is Ao Zhan also here? He's injured, seems like he's in trouble. Behind Ao Sheng, there were 20 or so dragons. Their strength was about the same, and some of them were even injured. Ao Zhan, whom Xiaohua was familiar with, appeared in front of him. "Ao Tao." Ao Sheng's voice came. "Although you're from the Hui race, you've been adopted by the Western Sea Dragon Palace since you were young. The Western Sea Dragon Palace has always regarded you as a descendant, and my dragon race has never treated you differently. All the training and gifts have always been given to you every year. Why do you know that the deep air abyss has something that the dragon race has always been looking for, but why don't you say anything? Moreover, at this time, you still want to go against my dragon race and ruin my dragon race's big matter? This kind of ungrateful thing, do you think you can do it?" Ao Sheng. Ao Sheng coldly said to the black dragon opposite him, "You're just a small elder of the dragon race. Of course you don't know the situation of the Hui race. Do you really think that the Western Sea Dragon Palace really treats me as a descendant? Isn't it because you want to find the secret of my Hui race from me? Furthermore, you dared to let the Hui race and their descendants come to the Stacking Jade Legacy realm to train. Isn't it all to find this secret? Now that I've lured you here, isn't it helping your dragon race? Don't say that your dragon race belongs to my dragon race." Ao Sheng said impatiently, "You and I are both from the dragon race. The dragon race belongs to both of us. If you don't even have the dragon race in your heart, then you're not afraid of being a dragon. It's not that we don't regard ourselves as a dragon race, it's that the dragon race doesn't regard us as a dragon race. If the dragon race is regarded as one of the 10 races of the dragon race, then why did you exterminate my Hui race back then? Isn't it because your dragon race, Pang Bai Luo Luo Shrine, and the other 9 Hui races were jealous of my Hui race's elites, and were afraid that my Hui race would control the dragon race, so you worked together to exterminate my Hui race? Back then, you already didn't regard my Hui race as a dragon race, so why do you still have to say it today?" Che! Ao Sheng was really disdainful. He coldly waved his hand and said, Kill them all. Break the restriction first and get the thing first." Ao Zhan and the others behind Ao Sheng responded, and urged their dragon bodies to pounce forward. Ao Tao naturally didn't show any weakness. He raised his head and roared, "Sons of the Hui race, today is a great opportunity for my Hui race to rise up. As long as we kill these bastards of the dragon race and retrieve the relic of the Hui race left behind by my clan's elder, my Hui race will be able to stand tall in the 4 seas, and even build another dragon island that belongs to my Hui race in the 4 seas. For the sake of my Hui race's sacrifice, for the sake of the dragon race's hope, for the sake of my clan's elder, kill." As soon as Ao Tao's words left his mouth, the descendants of the Hui race, be it the dragon race, the human race, or the monster race, were all envious. They all urged their divine abilities and pounced towards the dragon race of the dragon race on the dragon island. The battle between the giant dragons was very spectacular. Wherever the dragon claws passed, dragon blood splattered, and dragon scales fluttered in all directions. The roars shook the surroundings, and countless dragon chi and clouds madly surged within the radius of 1,000 miles. Chapter 4025. Although Ao Sheng was a minor elder of the Dragon Island, his strength was limited, and his opponent was not Ao Tao. The one fighting Ao Tao was another giant dragon whose strength was also at the upper stage of the 6th stage. In less than 5 minutes, both Ao Tao and that giant dragon were covered in blood, flesh and blood flying everywhere. The large drops of dragon blood and large pieces of dragon meat fell on the black dragon patterns under the dragons. These dragon patterns began to flash and gather toward the center after receiving the dragon blood. Damn it! Seeing this, how could Xiaohua not understand that the restrictive spell of the Deeper Yin was also strange? He sighed secretly in his heart. This Ao Tao is the leader that Ao Moyun mentioned, right? He is also sinister enough. The restrictive spell of the Deeper Yin should also be set up by Ao Qin. It seems that a blood sacrifice is needed to break the restrictive spell, and this blood sacrifice must be the dragon blood of the 9 clans of the Dragon Island. The 9th elder of the Dragon Palace let the descendants of the Ho in so that they could follow them to find the Deep Yi. Ao Tao used the dragons of the Dragon Island to follow them and kill them for dragon blood. Presumably, before Ao Tao came to the Deep Yuan, he had already killed a lot of dragons, and what triggered the restrictive spell of the Deep Yuan was the blood essence of the dragons that he had hunted before. Alas, the cunning of these dragons is no less than that of the human race. Oh, these tricks to lure the enemy are probably done by the descendants of the human race, such as Ao Moyun. Thinking of Ao Moyun, Xiaohua looked in another direction. Over there, a dozen or so humans and demons were together with several giant dragons. The strength of these humans and demons was greatly reduced in the folded jade ruins. Although they could use dragon energy with the help of the dragon bloodline Dharmakaya, they were still a little weaker than the real dragons of the Dragon Island. In less than 5 minutes, 2 demons had already been killed by the dragons. As for Ao Moyun, he was now struggling bitterly. Seeing Ao Moyun try his best to resist the attacks of the dragons with his strong faith, Xiaohua felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. First, he watched the revenge of the dragons of the Heavenly Abode River, then the revenge of the Ho. He was really tired of living because of hatred. How could he live because of love, be free and happy? However, looking at the battle in front of him and thinking about the hatred he had to bear, Xiaohua sighed again. Even now, he still didn't understand why the 2 nascent soul masters from the Dawn Rain continent were chasing after him. Was there someone else behind these 2 nascent soul masters? If he was facing the people behind them, how could he not make a move? There was also Shang Huaming. Once he returned to Dawn Rain continent, how could he not attack Shang Huaming's sect, 7 Possibilities sect, and Xuanyan school? Several dragon roars resounded. Dragon chi surged around the bodies of many huge dragons. One by one, they spat out dragon pearls. Different kinds of fluctuations and brilliance appeared on the dragon horns. The killing intent of the entire battlefield immediately became more austere. A huge dragon's chest was dug open by its opponent. It screamed miserably and fell into the restriction. If it was somewhere else, this huge dragon might still be able to struggle and rely on the strength of its dragon body to heal. However, as soon as he touched the restriction, the dense dragon patterns immediately swept across his dragon body. The dragon patterns were like sharp dragon sabers. In a few breaths of time, his flesh and blood were sliced off. Damn it! Ao Tao roared. He opened his mouth and a huge tornado rushed out. It instantly hit his opponent's face, and the dragon claws followed closely behind. Swish! A cold light flashed. The dragon general in front of him actually turned into an illusion. Not good. Ao Tao felt that something was wrong. Just as he was about to twist his dragon body, he heard a cold laugh behind him. Ao Tao, since you've already lured us here, your mission is complete. Go to hell. Woo! As the wind and clouds surged, a dragon tail appeared out of thin air. The dragon scales on the tail were as sharp as flying swords. It suddenly slashed Ao Tao's back. Although Ao Tao tried his best to dodge, under the dragon tail, 30% of his flesh and blood was still torn off and fell on the restriction. Ao Tao was in so much pain that he could only roll in the air. His opponent didn't give him a chance to escape at all. After the dragon body appeared, the dragon claws grabbed at Ao Tao's heart. Leader. The few dragons closest to Ao Tao, as well as Ao Moyun, who was not far away, were all shocked. They urged their bodies to come to his rescue. Unfortunately, they were still far away. Ao Tao was about to die under the opponent's sharp claws. Roar? At this moment, there was another roar. A jet black dragon aura suddenly appeared behind Ao Xing. A voice that Xiao Hua was very familiar with shouted, "Whoever dares to touch the scales of the descendant of my Hui clan, I'll kill the little elder of your dragon island." Xiao Hua, who was watching from the side, was stunned. He looked at the familiar Ao Zhan in disbelief. Suddenly, his whole body was dyed black. Even the sharp claws that grabbed Ao Xing's dragon body had turned black. How is this possible? Xiao Hua was a little confused. Wasn't Ao Zhan injured by Jiang Che of the Heavenly Abode River in the Relic World? How could he be the descendant of the Hui clan? Not to mention me, even the Dragon King of the East Sea Dragon Palace. I'm afraid he wouldn't have thought of this, right? Ao Zhan's strength was very strong. Now that he had obtained the bloodline of the Dragon Clan, his strength improved by leaps and bounds. How could Ao Xing be his opponent? Ao Zhan suddenly appeared and captured Ao Xing. Those two sharp claws pierced deeply into Ao Xing's dragon scales. With Ao Zhan's change, the situation of the entire battlefield changed. The two Hui clan dragons that were fighting against Ao Zhan and Ao Xing immediately pounced on the other two dragons. The dragons of the Dragon Island were even more afraid because Ao Xing was captured. They were dragons that could have killed Ao Tao. With a slight hesitation, Ao Tao's dragon body rolled and escaped. You're the leader of the Hui clan? Ao Xing grimaced in pain, but he couldn't help but ask. That's right. Ao Zhan said coldly, I was going to come to Deep Earth. Since you're leading the way, I don't have to bother. Ao Xing roared. His body suddenly rolled. Large pieces of flesh and blood were cut off from his body. Ao Zhan was caught off guard and Ao Xing actually broke free. Once Ao Xing was free, his figure immediately flew toward Xiao Hua. He even shouted, Spiritual Master Xiao, save me. Damn it. Xiao Hua cursed inwardly. He had no choice but to reveal his figure. However, before Ao Xing's dragon body could fly over, Ao Moyun, who had just returned to save Ao Tao, suddenly raised her head. At this time, she was the closest to Xiao Hua. Her body was suddenly surrounded by a pitch-black dragon blood Dharma body. As soon as this Dharma body appeared, pitch-black flames immediately appeared in the space. As the flames burned, Ao Moyun's body teleported in front of Xiao Hua. Ao Moyun looked at Xiao Hua and said word by word, Spiritual Master, you saved my life. I shouldn't have done this to you. However, I have made the revival of my Hui clan my own life. Now that it's about to be realized, I have no choice but to stop you. I have no face to see you in the future. Please forgive me. Just as Ao Moyun's voice fell, her physical body and dragon blood celestial body both exploded. Pitch-black flames mixed with black blood splashed onto Xiaohua's body, and similarly landed on the restriction. Previously, the restriction had already transformed into a vague dragon shape after receiving Ao Sheng's flesh and blood. At this moment, when Ao Moyun's blood essence landed, the dragon shape suddenly became clear. When Xiaohua saw Ao Moyun blocking him, he thought she was going to use some method, but he didn't expect Ao Moyun to be so resolute. Without saying anything, she had already self-destructed. Caught off guard, the black flames and black blood fell on him. The black blood and black flames instantly soaked into the surface of his body. Ouch! Xiaohua's face changed greatly. His body was on the verge of collapse in midair. He said in shock and anger, This is the poison of the dragon clan? Ha! Spiritual Master Xiao. Ao Zhan shouted in the distance. This is the black poison that my Hui clan specially used to deal with the Dragon Island. Don't be afraid. At this time, you just can't use your dragon chi. When I kill Ao Sheng and the other dragons, I will give you the antidote. Damn it! Xiaohua cursed loudly. I just came to watch the show. You even want to poison me to death? Ao Moyun, even if you don't want to live, you don't have to drag me down. You are really called Mr. Moyun in vain. Kill! Without waiting for Xiaohua to finish speaking, Ao Zhan's pitch-black dragon body gave birth to an indescribable dragon might. His figure once again pounced on Ao Sheng. Ao Sheng looked at Xiaohua rather meaningfully, then hurriedly shook his tail and fled to another dragon. What are you looking at? Xiaohua looked fiercely at Ao Sheng's back and cursed inwardly. In order to prevent me from making a move, a human has already died. How am I supposed to make a move? I am a human after all. Damn it. This is Ao Moyun's real intention. Although Xiaohua was cursing, his mind had already been released. It wrapped around the space where Ao Moyun's flesh and blood exploded. The netherworld origin power spread out along with his mind and took Ao Moyun's soul into the inside of the space. Of course, Xiaohua also knew that the soul collected by the netherworld origin power was different from the soul collected by the Prometha, so he didn't enter the inside of the space to explore. The dragons of the Dragon Island naturally wouldn't let Ao Zhan capture Ao Sheng, but Ao Zhan was really powerful. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, he had already torn his enemy into pieces. And at this time, the situation of the entire battlefield was completely in favor of the Gui clan. After Ao Zhan tore his enemy into pieces, his whole dragon body coiled in midair and coldly looked around. His gaze swept past Xiaohua, and a faint joy flashed through his eyes. It seemed that he was very satisfied with Xiaohua's tacit understanding. And Xiaohua looked at Ao Zhan's expression. That kind of arrogance, that kind of condescension, that kind of confidence, he felt rather uncomfortable in his heart. Only now did he understand the true meaning of some of the words Ao Zhan said in the relic realm that day. Ao Zhan was indeed not a simple dragon guard. The so-called Ao Qian was nothing but a trash in his eyes. His ambition was lofty and far beyond what dragons like Ao Qian could understand. However, after the experience of joining hands to fight the enemy in the relic realm, Xiaohua still had a certain understanding of this dragon who was arrogant to the bone and had a heavy responsibility on his shoulders. He knew that he was still a man who could be trusted. Ao Sheng. Ao Zhan saw that the Gui clan had the situation under control, so he looked at Ao Sheng and said, You don't have to hide anymore. You are a junior elder of the Dragon Island, and in the future, you will also be the leader of the Dragon Island. No matter what, I am still a member of the Dragon Island. I will definitely not take your life. It's just that the things in this deep region were obtained by the Gui clan's elder at the risk of his life. I must take them away. If you know what's good for you, then order them to stop right now. Sprinkle your blood essence and I won't hurt you. Chapter 4026. Ha! Ao Sheng laughed. What's the point of saying all this now? The crystal dragon scripture is the sacred item of my Dragon Island. It's owned by all 9 clans. Since when did it become your clan's private property? Besides, if we spill our essence blood, wouldn't that be the same as letting ourselves be captured? Cough cough. Xiaohua tried to smooth things over. Ao Sheng, I can vouch for Ao Zhan. His words, should still be trustworthy. Xiaohua. Ao Sheng looked at Xiaohua with interest and asked, "You know Ao Zhan? Could it be that you entered the stacked Jade Legacy realm with Ao Zhan in secret?" Xiaohua shook his head. "Ao Sheng, I came to Dragon Island for Ao Zhantian, but also for other things. I already told the elders in the Dragon Palace. I only met Ao Zhantian before entering the stacked Jade Legacy realm. I don't know his plan at all." "Oh, do you think I would still tell you the name of the Deeper Yuan if I knew his plan?" "Who knows?" Ao Sheng sneered. "Opening the seal of the Deeper Yuan seems to require the essence blood of my Dragon Island's 10 clans. If I didn't come, the essence blood of the Dragon Clan wouldn't exist. Is there such a coincidence?" Xiaohua looked at the dozens of dragons around Ao Sheng, dumbfounded. Ao Zhan said coldly, "Ao Sheng, I don't want to say anything unnecessary. If you want to live, if you want to rule the Dragon Island in the future, you better give up now. If you still resist after 10 breaths, don't blame me for not giving the Dragon Island any face." "You dare." Ao Sheng was furious. 10. Ao Zhan ignored him and counted by himself. "Damn it. Damn it. Damn it." Ao Sheng yelled in exasperation. As Ao Zhan counted, his body expanded again, and the dragon chi around the ring-shaped mountain flocked into his body. Between the pitch-black dragon scales, a pitch-black dragon stone appeared. Roar! Before Ao Zhan counted to 5, Ao Sheng roared, and a series of crackling sounds came from his body. The originally injured dragon body expanded as if it was inflated, and the dragon horns glowed with a brilliant light. A destructive dragon aura emitted from his body. Not only Ao Zhan, but all the dragons, demons, and humans present were shocked because the dragon's might was rising steadily. In just a moment, it had reached an unbelievable level. The shock that came from the bottom of their hearts made them not only stop, but they also hurriedly retreated. Their claws were also trembling, and they were unable to resist. First Elder? Naturally, Xiaohua was also intimidated by this dragon's might. His body couldn't help but tremble. He is somewhat familiar with this dragon's might. Isn't this the aura of the great elder of the Dragon Island? Ao Zhan. As expected, Ao Sheng's dragon body expanded several times, and the terrifying dragon aura covered the entire ring-shaped mountain. Only then did he lower his huge dragon head and look at Ao Zhan, saying, "This old man has waited for you for thousands of years, and you have finally appeared. You really didn't disappoint me." Although Ao Zhan had obtained the dragon's bloodline inheritance, it was still too early after all. At this moment he tried his best to urge his dragon chi to resist, but under this power, his pitch-black dragon body was suspended in the air. The dragon flame was also transparent like a crystal, and he didn't move at all. However, even though the great elder of the Dragon Island sealed his divine ability, he couldn't seal his battle intent and anger. Ao Zhan said loudly, "I am a descendant of the Gue clan, so I naturally won't be the same as the other 9 clans of the Dragon Island. How can I disappoint the great elder? However, the great elder actually used the body of a little child to deal with me personally. I am really overwhelmed by the favor." Ao Zhan's words were naturally sarcastic, but why would the great elder care? He smiled coldly, just as the previous generation's elder said, "Gue clan have always had an unruly character. You only think about yourself and not the other dragon clans. Do you know why Ao Qin took the crystal dragon and escaped into the folded Jade Legacy realm? Do you think it's because of those self-righteous reasons that you obtained from your ancestors? Do you think you are the only one who knows about your many schemes? All the truth is the declaration of the victor." Ao Zhan smiled faintly. "Don't you think your explanation is too weak? Instead of explaining this to me, why don't you explain how you can borrow Ao Sheng's dragon body? If I knew you had this kind of divine ability, how could I have fallen into your trap?" The 10 clans of the Dragon Island each have their own secret bloodline divine ability. There are so many. The Great Elder answered, "Just like how you Gue clan can naturally hide your own bloodline and transform into another clan's bloodline at will, the primordial spirit of my dragon clan is extremely similar, and we can perform the divine ability of primordial spirit residence. Do you know why Ao Xing is called the Little Elder? Not only because his bloodline is pure, but also because his primordial spirit is extremely similar to mine, the previous generation's elder. Forget it, Ao Zhan sighed. We have left the Dragon Island for a long time, and this kind of secret has long been forgotten. If not for this, our Gui clan would have succeeded today. After saying that, the black flames around Ao Zhan suddenly surged up, and a series of dragon roars came out from his body. Ao Zhan's scales overflowed with dragon blood, and his body expanded, and the dragon's aura began to rise. Oh, this is really beyond my expectation. The Great Elder was surprised to see that Ao Zhan actually had the strength to fight. While he was talking, Ao Zhan raised his dragon claws, and a shadow flashed past. Swoosh! The Great Elder's chest was instantly covered with blood. Although the Great Elder had occupied Ao Xing's dragon body, Ao Xing's dragon body was not the Great Elder's. Under this attack, Ao Xing's chest was almost torn apart. The Great Elder was shocked and had no time to think about why Ao Zhan had such a mysterious divine ability. He raised his claws and stabbed forward. Sizzle! Dozens of thunderbolts were produced, completely sealing Ao Zhan's neck. No matter how Ao Zhan shook his head and tail, he could not break free. The Great Elder's sharp claws fell, and Ao Zhan was about to be torn apart. And in Ao Zhan's eyes, there was no fear except regret. The resentment of the 10 clans of Dragon Island can finally be settled at this time. The Great Elder said indifferently, "This old man killed you, the leader, so there shouldn't be any more trouble in the future. My Ji clan has tens of thousands of descendants. If you kill me, there will be other dragons." Ao Zhan shouted unyieldingly. "Kill them one by one." The Great Elder laughed. "There will always be a time when we kill them all." As he spoke, the sharp claws were about to fall, but at this time, a voice sounded, "Wait." The Great Elder's sharp claws did not stop, and he replied indifferently, "Didn't Taoist Xiao say just now? Not participating in the internal strife of my Dragon Island's 10 clans, why are you going back on your words now?" "I don't plan to participate," Xiao Hua replied indifferently. However, this Xiao saw a future great sage of the Dragon Clan, who has yet to show his talent and is about to fall. "It's a pity for your Dragon Clan, so I wanted to say a word." "You mean him?" The Great Elder was a little stunned. Looking at Ao Zhan, who had already given up struggling, he laughed and said, "How could he be a great sage? Why don't you tell me?" "I will only say one word, I won't say anything else." Xiao Hua laughed. "If there's anything, you should ask Ao Zhan." Ao Zhan snorted coldly and did not answer. The Great Elder sneered and said, "Even if he is a great sage of the Dragon Clan, he is still a great sage of the Ji clan. The more powerful he is, the more harmful it will be to my Dragon Island. My Dragon Island is already a little tired to deal with the Pentaceratops. If there is another enemy of the Ji clan, how can my Dragon Island be peaceful? Damn it, this is bad." Xiao Hua complained in his heart, his eyes turned rapidly and shouted, "Sigh, Great Elder, could it be that you didn't see Ao Zhan's mercy towards Ao Xing just now? If he could kill Ao Xing when he captured Ao Xing earlier, he would have already killed Ao Xing, right? Don't you think that with the method he used to injure you just now, it would be easy for him to kill Ao Xing?" The Great Elder was a little hesitant. Xiao Hua was right, Ao Zhan did have a lot of opportunities to kill Ao Xing. Especially what Ao Zhan said to Ao Xing just now, he also heard it. Ao Zhan was really thinking about the Dragon Clan's inheritance. Xiao Hua struck while the iron was hot and said, "My human race often says that family is a relationship of blood and flesh where the bones are broken and the tendons are connected. Your Dragon Island's 10 clans are all Dragon Clan. Their bloodline originated from the same source. No matter what, they are close. They are originally from the same root. Why are you so anxious to kill each other? I don't know what grudges the Ji clan has with the other 9 clans, but after hearing a few words just now, I feel that there seems to be some misunderstanding. Actually, a lot of things are misunderstood because they can't be explained clearly. As long as things are explained clearly, the misunderstandings will vanish like smoke. Now, it is really rare. One is the son of the Ji clan, the other is the great elder of the Dragon Palace. I don't believe that there is anything in this world that can't be explained clearly. Of course, great elder, if you really have a reason to kill, not to mention this deeper Yuan, not to mention this folded jadeite legacy realm, even on the entire Dragon Island, who can stop you? The matter of the Ji clan is too long ago. The great elder was moved by Xiao Hua's words and said. Xiao Hua at the side hurriedly waved his hand. Great elder, this is your Dragon clan's secret. It is not suitable for me to know. You should talk to Ao Zhan alone. Secret? The great elder faintly smiled. He understood the double meaning of Xiao Hua's words. He laughed and said, You are right, this old man really wants to know. Just how much does the Gui clan hate my Dragon Island 9 clans? After saying that, a layer of faint dragon chi rose between the great elder and Ao Zhan. Wherever the dragon chi passed, the two giant dragons froze on top of the dragon chi, and not a trace of movement could be heard. Looking at the other dragon clan, human clan, and demon clan, there was surprise on their faces. What was happening in front of them had long surpassed their imagination. They all stopped fighting and separated into two places, waiting for the result. Looking at everyone, Xiao Hua sighed a little. Alas, poor Ao Moyun, to be called Mr. Moyun in vain. In the end, he really thought himself clever. But, if she didn't stop this Xiao from taking action, how should this Xiao face Ao Sheng's request for help? After all, it is a living life. It is really a pity. Chapter 4027. Ao Moyun's poison naturally couldn't hurt the current Xiao Hua. He was just giving Xiao Hua a reason not to attack. And the price of this reason was a life, which made Xiao Hua feel that it was not worth it. Xiao Hua waited for half a day, but the longer the time, the more Xiao Hua felt at ease. After all, Ao Zhan had to bargain with the great elder, which would take time. And if the great elder didn't want to listen, he would probably come out in a moment, right? Just as Xiao Hua was thinking, the two dragons above the dragon chi moved, and the dragon chi instantly disappeared, revealing the great elder and Ao Zhan. However, the expression of the two dragons was different from what Xiao Hua thought. There was no crying, no ecstasy, only calmness, as if nothing had happened. This old man can't occupy Ao Sheng's dragon body for a long time. Once the great elder appeared, he immediately ordered, You don't have to fight with the Hui dragons anymore, just listen to Ao Sheng's orders. Yes, great elder. The dragons on the Dragon Island all heaved a sigh of relief and replied. Then, the great elder glanced at Xiao Hua and said, Xiao Hua, this old man will leave everything here to you. If you help Ao Sheng get the crystal dragon scripture, you can get the friendship of my Dragon Island. Of course, other than the crystal dragon scripture, this old man also doesn't know what else there is in the deep Eryun. If you are fated to get the ruined dragon core, it might be possible. Don't worry, don't worry. Xiao Hua saw that the great elder was about to leave, and hurriedly shouted, Do I need to eat the dragon core? Great elder, you have to tell me where the dragon cleansing pool is, right? Hee, this old man has already said what needs to be said. You can ask Ao Sheng yourself. The great elder's voice became softer and softer as he replied with a smile. After saying that, Ao Sheng's dragon body rapidly shrank, and the terrifying dragon pressure from before also weakened, revealing Ao Sheng proudly. Ao Sheng. Ao Zhan's tone was not particularly intimate and said, Did you hear what the great elder said? Of course. Ao Sheng said with a smile. Ao Zhan nodded. Good. You all rest for a moment, then listen to my arrangements. We will break the seal of the deep Eryun. Alright. Ao Sheng agreed and prepared to bring the rest of the dragons to the other side of the ring-shaped mountain. Don't be hasty. Xiao Hua called out again. Ao Sheng, tell me the truth. Where is the dragon cleansing pool? Reverend. Ao Sheng smiled bitterly. Didn't I make it clear to you earlier? I really don't know where it is. Why don't I look for it with you after we come out of the deep Eryun? If you can't find the dragon cleansing pool, don't blame me for not returning it. Before Xiao Hua could finish his sentence, Ao Sheng, who was swimming, naturally knew what he meant. However, in Ao Sheng's eyes, Long Yu was no match for the crystal dragon scripture. He could only throw Xiao Hua's threat to the back of his head. Ao Zhan, on the other hand, looked at his subordinates and instructed, "You all should also rest for a while. When we return from the stacked Jade Legacy realm, the Dragon Hall will issue the Dragon Hall order. Because my Gue clan knows our wrongs and repents, we will return the Crystal Dragon scripture and pardon some of the sins of my Gue clan. Then when will my clan return to the 10 clans of the Dragon Island?" A dragon asked somewhat anxiously. "The road to return to the Dragon Island is still very long." Ao Zhan smiled bitterly. "Unless my clan can produce a great sage of the demon clan." "How is that possible?" All the dragons were astonished. "With the first step, it's always good. Take your time on the road from now on." Ao Zhan seemed to be extremely satisfied with this result. He waved his hand and said, "The problem now is to find the Crystal Dragon scripture. If the Crystal Dragon scripture doesn't return to the Dragon Hall, we still have to think of a way to leave the Dragon Island." "Yes, leader." All the dragons agreed and flew to the other side of the ring-shaped mountain. Ao Zhan flew in front of Xiao Hua and cupped his hands. "Reverend Xiao, I have received your grace again." Xiao Hua smiled and waved his hand. "This matter has nothing to do with me. It's because you didn't have any killing intent in your heart. You saved yourself. Furthermore, I have to congratulate fellow immortal Ao. Although you have yet to complete the heavy responsibility on your shoulders, the road has already appeared under your feet. Fellow immortal Ao, sooner or later, you will be able to bring our clan back to the 10 clans of the Dragon Island." Others may not know, but how could enlightened master not understand? "If it wasn't for your grace, how could I have such a fortuitous encounter?" Ao Zhan said very sincerely. "I won't say any more. Xiao Hua knew what Ao Zhan wanted to say. He waved his hand and said with a smile, "If I can help you settle your grudges, how much less killing will there be in the future? How many fewer dragons would die? This Xiao is very willing to accept this merit. Things might not be as simple as you think." Ao Zhan smiled bitterly. "After all, my race has been at odds with the Dragon Island for many years. The 9 races of the Dragon Island, Pang Bai Luo Luo Shrine, and Swan Ni have suffered many losses because of my race. Even if I offer the Crystal Dragon scripture, the other 8 races will still try to stop me." "Nonsense, how could it be possible without obstruction?" Xiao Hua replied, "But since there is a righteous cause, they will have one less weakness to use against you. Your wish will come true sooner or later. By the way, since the Gue clan has been pardoned, what about the Dragon clan in the heavenly abode? What about them?" Ao Zhan was a little hesitant. "They are naturally a branch of my clan, but my Gue clan hasn't settled down yet. I'm afraid we'll have to wait for some time to settle the matter of the heavenly abode." "Wait until you are strong enough." Xiao Hua understood that the Gue clan had many things to do, and Ao Zhan was probably facing many more difficulties. At this point, Xiao Hua's heart suddenly quivered as he thought of Jiang Che in the Legacy realm. After all, the appearance of Jiang Che and the other 2 heavenly abode dragons in the Legacy realm was too strange. If no one had tipped them off, how could they have found that place? However, at this point, Xiao Hua felt that there was no point in asking Ao Zhan anymore, so he might as well keep this secret in the bottom of his heart. Ao Zhan nodded and looked at the restriction below his feet. The dragon patterns had already gathered into a black dragon, and its appearance was very frightening. Ao Zhan stared at the black dragon, and a trace of gentleness flashed in his eyes. After a while, he said, "This is the former patriarch of my Gue clan, Ao Qin. A dragon that could be the great elder of Dragon Island. When he was training in the stacked Jade Forgotten Realm, he used the strength of a single dragon to obtain the Dragon Jade and Crystal Dragon scripture. According to his thinking, he would definitely be able to obtain the position of Great Elder because of this, but the Great Elder of that generation wasn't him. In his anger, he took away the Dragon Jade and Crystal Dragon scripture from the Dragon Hall, and from that moment onwards, the fate of my Gue clan changed." Ao Zhan didn't say the specific reason, but he had obviously accepted the Great Elder's explanation. Xiao Hua sighed and said, "Perhaps Ao Qin was wrong, or perhaps the Dragon Hall was wrong, But what's right is the fact that has already happened. Our human race has a saying that it's never too late to mend the pen after the sheep are lost. Now that the bloodline of the Gue clan still exists, it's not too late. Yes, I understand. The burden on this Ao's shoulders is getting heavier and heavier. Ao Jean nodded. This Xiaohua has other thoughts in his mind. At this point he asked again in a low voice, "That's right, Ao Jean, tell this old man the truth. Is the great elder's words true? Does he really not know where the dragon cleansing pool is?" There are 2 dragon cleansing pools on Dragon Island. One is real and one is fake. Ao Jean glanced at Xiaohua as he replied meaningfully, "The one outside the stacked jade Forgotten Realm is a fake. The dragon cleansing liquid inside was extracted from the real dragon cleansing pool inside the stacked jade Forgotten Realm. This dragon cleansing liquid is the essence of the dragon domain. It can't leave the dragon cleansing pool. Once it leaves the dragon cleansing pool, it can't be called dragon cleansing liquid anymore. However, this liquid can still nourish and repair the body of my dragon clan, so Dragon Island still values this fake dragon cleansing pool very much. Generally speaking, the so-called dragon cleansing pool outside of Dragon Island is this fake dragon cleansing pool. As for the real dragon cleansing pool, Taoist Master Xiao, have you heard of the Ascension Pool in your Dao Sect's immortal world? Ascension Pool? Xiao Hua smacked his lips and said with a bitter smile, "This Xiao has never heard of it. This Xiao has only heard of the Lotus Cleansing Pool in Thunder Temple." "What's the Lotus Cleansing Pool in Thunder Temple?" Ao Jean sneered. "That's just a bunch of bald donkeys playing reincarnation. How can it be compared to the Dragon Cleansing Pool on Dragon Island? If you want to compare it, it's at most similar to the fake Dragon Cleansing Pool outside of the stacked Jade Legacy realm." Xiaohua also looked at Ao Jean meaningfully. Ao Jean, who was only at the 6th or 7th stage of origin energy, seemed to care more about Dragon Island's reputation than the Great Elder. Even the Great Elder compared the Dragon Cleansing Pool to the Buddhist sect's Lotus Cleansing Pool, but Ao Jean immediately stepped on the Lotus Cleansing Pool. It was probably because of Ao Jean's understanding that the Great Elder was reassured to let Ao Jean lead Ao Sheng and the others to find the Crystal Dragon Seal. "What does immortal friend Ao mean?" Xiao asked. "It said that the immortal qi in your Dao sect immortal world is very dense. Ordinary cultivators can't withstand the higher grade immortal qi after ascending to the immortal world. Therefore, every cultivator who ascends has to remodel their body in the Ascension Pool. The dragon realm of my dragon clan is half a level higher than the immortal world. The dragon cleansing liquid in the dragon realm can only be compared to the immortal molding liquid in the Ascension Pool. Does immortal friend Ao Jean understand what I'm saying? So, after your dragon clan breaks through the void and reaches the dragon realm, you also have to use the dragon cleansing liquid to remodel your body?" Xiaohua understood. Ao Jean nodded. "Of course. Didn't immortal friend Ao Jean feel that the dragon qi in the stacked Jade Legacy realm is several times stronger than on Dragon Island? And this is just a fragment of the dragon realm. If it were the real dragon realm, then the dragon qi. Yes, it should be called dragon spiritual qi. Then how terrifying would dragon spiritual qi be? Ordinary dragon bodies wouldn't be able to withstand it, right? Damn it. Xiaohua gnashed his teeth. Your dragon clan's dragon body is already incomparably tough. If you remodel your body after reaching the dragon realm, how are the immortals of the immortal world supposed to survive? You humans don't really rely on your physical body after ascending to immortality. It doesn't make a difference whether it's tough or not, right? Ao Jean replied with a smile. "Don't try to change the topic." Xiaohua snorted. "I just want to know the whereabouts of the dragon cleansing pool. After saying so much, do you think the Grand Elder knows?" "Of course he doesn't." Ao Jean smiled. "If he knows where the dragon cleansing pool is, doesn't that mean he knows where the deeper Yuan is? Wouldn't he have found this place long ago?" Chapter 4028. With that, Ao Jean glanced at Ao Sheng and sneered. "Don't think that Ao Sheng knows that the crystal dragon is here. If I didn't deliberately lead him here, he wouldn't be able to find this place." But Xiaohua was a little surprised. Ao Zhan looked around and actually transmitted his voice. The dragon cleansing pool, deep air abyss, and a place called the Mirage are the three most mysterious places in the stacked jade forgotten realm. The dragon cleansing pool is called the dragon cleansing pool because of the dragon cleansing liquid, which is the essence of dragon spiritual chi. It is the closest to the dragon domain. No primordial consciousness or divine ability can find it. Furthermore, when the stacked jade forgotten realm changes, the dragon cleansing pool is hidden outside the forgotten realm. And this deep air abyss, to be honest, it is the earliest place connected to the dragon realm. It can be said that it is the source of the dragon spiritual energy in the entire stacked jade legacy realm. If it wasn't for my clan leader, I wouldn't be able to find this place. What? This deep air abyss is the connection between the dragon realm and the stacked jade legacy realm? Xiaohua was shocked and said, "So, when clan leader Ao Qin came here." "Yes, that should be what the old man meant." Ao Zhan nodded. "However, without the strength of breaking the void, it is impossible to pass through this connection. Of course, even if you have the strength of a great saint, you may not be able to pass through this connection. So, no dragon has ever entered the dragon realm through this connection. In the past, I seem to have heard that this is a place to send messages. Of course, by the time of clan leader Ao Qin's generation, this connection was already broken." See. Xiaohua sucked in a mouthful of cold air, as if he understood something. Of his 2 broken dragon jade, one was from the Dawn Rain continent, the other was from the Little White Dragon, and the Little White Dragon was from the 10,000 Demon Realm. Those 2 places were not the Dragon Island, nor were they the 3 continents. Previously, the Great Elder of the Dragon Palace didn't ask about the origin of the Dragon Jade because they thought that Xiaohua's Dragon Jade was only lost in the 3 continents. What they didn't expect was that Xiaohua's Dragon Jade was not obtained in the 3 continents. If this deep air abyss was the passage connecting the stacked jade legacy realm to the dragon realm, it was now closed. That is to say, the dragon clan wanted to go to the dragon realm with the 2 broken dragon jade. Because they failed, they ended up in the demon realm and Dawn Rain continent. "What's wrong?" Ao Zhan asked when he saw Xiaohua's strange expression. Xiaohua naturally couldn't pursue this matter any further, so he changed the topic and asked, "What about the Mirage?" "I don't know." Ao Zhan shook his head. Back then, when clan leader Ao Qin divided the dragons, some of them fled to the dragon realm, while others fled to the 4 seas. I am a descendant of the dragons who stayed in the 4 seas. Only through the long bay that Patriarch Ao Qin had passed down did he know all of this. I don't know anything else. In other words, Xiaohua smiled. You might not pass through Dragon Island and directly return to the 4 seas? Sure. However, the risk is extremely high. Ao Zhan nodded. There are some spatial layers around the stacked jade legacy land, and there are some distorted spatial veins that lead to the 4 seas. However, these spatial veins also lead to the void. Once we fall into the void, even if we have the body of a dragon, we won't be able to survive. Forget it. Xiaohua extinguished the thought of escaping with the Long Yu and smiled at Ao Zhan. Fellow immortal Ao, you seem to have told me everything you know. Spiritual Master. Ao Zhan said with extreme sincerity. I work together with Spiritual Master in the Legacy Realm, so I'm very confident in Spiritual Master's character. Back then, I didn't know that Spiritual Master also had the bloodline of a dragon. Otherwise, I would have communicated with Spiritual Master more. Furthermore, Spiritual Master wasn't moved by the bloodline of a true spirit in the Legacy Realm. I really don't know what else in this world can make Spiritual Master interested. If I don't trust such a Spiritual Master, who else can I trust? Now, if my Gue race wants to be ranked as one of the 10 races of Dragon Island again, not only do I need to cultivate to the Great Sage Realm, I also need more help. Spiritual Master has a bloodline comparable to Ao Sheng's and is favored by Meng Longhall's Great Elder. I naturally won't hide anything from Spiritual Master. Sigh. Xiaohua sighed. He didn't really want to care about the revenge of the Heavenly Abode River, but he didn't expect to encounter the revival of the Gue race here. He didn't even have time to cultivate in seclusion, So how could he want to spend more time on these things? He didn't want to say anything more here, so he asked again, "All right, is there really a ruined dragon pill in the deep Eryuan?" "There is." Ao Jean nodded. Senior Ao Chin said clearly in the dragon shell that he saw the aura of a dragon pill here, but the aura of the pill wasn't particularly strong. He guessed that it might be a ruined dragon pill. "How many years has it been?" Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. "Is the dragon pill still effective?" Ao Jean shook his head. "I don't know about this. But this place is actually a fragment of the dragon realm, nourished by dragon qi. Even if the dragon pill is ruined, it should still be effective, right? However, spiritual master, this dragon pill, even if it's ruined, I'm afraid it's not something you can consume. That day, I spread the news just to encourage the human race cultivators. Sai, let's take a look first." Xiao Hua waved his hand. "Didn't you hear what Great Elder said? Leave everything to me. If I don't go in and take a look, he won't let me go." At this time, Ao Sheng flew over from afar and asked, "Ao Jean, we've already rested. Can we break the seal now?" "Of course." Ao Jean looked at Ao Sheng and replied, "The dragon sons of the 9 clans of Dragon Island, release half of your dragon blood." "What?" Ao Sheng was shocked when he heard this. "Why do we have to release so much dragon blood?" "To break this seal, we need the blood essence of the 10 clans of Dragon Island. We already had some before, plus the dragon that fell from my Ji clan, and the 7 clans that didn't release enough blood essence. Especially you, your blood essence is the most important." Ao Jean replied without any trace of politeness. Ao Sheng was a little flustered and exasperated. But after he said a few words, he became dejected again. After all, Ao Jean's purpose of luring them here was to kill them and use their blood essence. Now that he was only allowed to release half of his blood essence, although it made his heart ache, compared to the previous deadlock, there was a fundamental difference. "Roar!" Ao Sheng roared, opened his mouth, and a stream of dragon blood fell like a fountain. The dragon blood fell on the black dragon seal, and the black dragon seal began to slowly rotate. When Ao Sheng was dispirited in midair, the other dragons also spat out their blood essence. The black dragon above the seal sped up and surrounded the ring-shaped mountain, forming a huge whirlpool. The hurricane above the whirlpool also took the shape of a dragon. Seeing Ao Sheng curled up and not moving, Xiao Hua smiled and said, "What's wrong? Didn't you just spit out a few mouthfuls of blood? Why can't you move?" "Spit out a few mouthfuls of blood for me to see. Spit out a few mouthfuls of blood for me to see." Ao Sheng shouted, "This is blood essence. I'm also a dragon. If I was a human, I would have died long ago." "Haha, you also know about dying?" Xiao Hua laughed. "Your dragon clan doesn't have pills?" "What pills do I need?" Ao Sheng said disdainfully. "If you want to eat, wait until you enter the deep air lake to eat dragon pills." Xiao Hua smiled, took out a jade bottle, and said with a smile, "This Xiao has refined blood replenishing pill. Do you want it?" "Oh no." Ao Sheng waved his hand. "This thing is useless to me." "All right." Xiao Hua nodded. "This blood replenishing pill is refined by this Xiao. It is most suitable for humans, but it seems that the Yao race can also use it. If you don't want to use it, then forget it. It's a waste not to eat it." Seeing that Xiao Hua was about to take the jade bottle, Ao Sheng raised his dragon claw and shouted, "Give it. Let me try." "Just now I wanted to give it to you, but you didn't want to eat it. Now I want to eat it, but I won't give it to you." Xiao Hua smiled, pretending to take it and said, "Woo." A strong wind swept past, and Ao Sheng snatched the jade bottle. He put the jade bottle into his mouth, and with a crunch, his dragon teeth crushed the seal on the jade bottle, and the bottle of blood-replenishing pill fell into his stomach. Xiao Hua was a little stunned, and slapped his forehead. "Damn it, this Xiao now knows what it means to be an old cow chewing peony. I am a little dragon, not an old cow." Ao Sheng shouted angrily, "I am a little elder of the dragon race, yet I can eat your pill. In the future, if you sell pills in the hidden immortal continent, this will be a big gimmick. I owe this. What kind of pill is this?" Suddenly, the dragon chi around Ao Sheng's body surged, and layers of blood color gushed out from the dragon scales. When this blood color reached Ao Sheng's face, his entire face turned red. Spiritual Master Xiao. The dragons at the side could not compare to Ao Sheng, and their expressions were even more dispirited. Seeing Ao Sheng like this, they were all overjoyed and shouted, "Do you still have more pills? Can you wait for me a moment?" Xiao Hua beamed with joy and said, "Of course. However, this is the pill refined by this Xiao. In the future, you must remember it. And this Xiao is now cooperating with Luo Yi Merchant Union. If you need it in the future, feel free to look for Luo Yi Merchant Union." Luo Yi Merchant Union. Okay, we will remember it. The dragons hurriedly urged, "Spiritual Master, give us the pills first." When Xiaohua took out some blood-replenishing pills and gave them to the other dragons, the blood qi around Ao Sheng's body finally stopped. He blinked his eyes and asked puzzledly, "What's going on? It's obviously very comfortable, and my blood qi is surging. Why did my blood essence recover so little?" "Ah." Xiaohua laughed and said, "Can blood essence be recovered by ordinary methods? That is to rely on one's own recovery. This Xiao's blood replenishing pill can only replenish ordinary blood qi. It is only somewhat beneficial for you." "That's not bad." Ao Sheng nodded. "Luo Yi Merchant Union, I will also remember it. Spiritual Master Xiao, do you still have more?" "Indeed no more." Xiaohua shook his head. "This Xiao does not use these things. They are all sold in Luo Yi Merchant Union." "Spiritual Master Ah, how can you play without them?" Ao Sheng shouted. "You have piqued my interest, how can you not care?" "There is really no more." Xiaohua shook his head, and then mysteriously probed. "Of course, if you can tell this Xiao the location of the dragon cleansing pool, this Xiao will consider refining some more for you after the stacked Jade Legacy Realm." Chapter 4029. I also want to know. Ao Sheng smiled bitterly, "But I really don't know. If you don't want to give me the pills, just say it. Don't use these to brush me off." All right. Xiaohua smiled. "I won't make things difficult for you. I still have some pills that I refined before. The effect is not as good as the one just now. I'll give them to you." Xiaohua took out a jade bottle and threw it to Ao Sheng. This time, Ao Sheng did not act rashly. He raised his sharp dragon claw and opened the jade bottle. He threw a pill into his mouth. Sure enough, although there was some blood energy surging around Ao Sheng, it was much smaller than before. "Taoist Master Xiao, you are really stingy." Ao Sheng looked at the jade bottle in his hand as if it was useless. Excuse me. Xiaohua replied, "This was refined when I was learning alchemy. Naturally, it can't be compared to now." "Forget it." Ao Sheng waved his hand and kept the jade bottle. He took advantage of the situation and said, "No matter what, it's still a gift from you. It's not appropriate for me to not accept it." Gotcha. At this moment, the black dragon that was spinning rapidly in the ring-shaped mountain suddenly made a crisp sound. Xiao Hua and the others hurriedly looked over and saw that the black dragon had actually split into two, turning into two identical black dragons. Roar! The two black dragons let out different rhythms, but they sounded exactly the same. Then, their huge dragon bodies stretched out from the two sides of the whirlpool. Oh! Obscure, different rhythms of inexplicable syllables were produced between the two dragon bodies. A layer of black and white light film was revealed as the dragon roared. Whoosh! The light film had just appeared when Ao Zhan, who was silent at the side, opened his mouth and a black dragon shell fell into the air. Pooh! Ao Zhan also spat out a mouthful of blood essence that flashed with black light onto the dragon shell. The dragon shell instantly turned blood red and clusters of blood mist surged on the dragon shell. Woo! Two light threads stretched out from the black and white light film, respectively making different strange sounds. The light threads seemed to be attracted by the blood mist of the dragon shell and landed on the two sides of the dragon shell. The blood mist on Long Bay followed the light threads and landed on the light membrane. The light membrane seemed to come alive in an instant. Its flashing black and white wings gradually expanded and turned into a huge butterfly. Butterfly transformation technique? Ao Sheng was shocked. Ao Qin actually used the butterfly transformation technique in the restriction? Of course. Ao Zhan said proudly, if it wasn't for me, even the Grand Elder wouldn't have been able to break the seal. Ao Xing did not refute. It seemed that Ao Zhan was right. Xiao Huan naturally didn't know what the butterfly transformation technique was. However, as the butterfly grew bigger, it covered the entire ring-shaped mountain. Roar, roar. The two identical black dragons roared and rushed into the butterfly's body. The butterfly's body trembled violently for a moment before it pounced into the vortex where the black dragons had been. Puff! There was a strange sound. The butterfly fell, and the two black dragons' bodies quickly split apart along with the black and white light screen. Then, an extremely dense dragon aura rushed out like a tidal wave. This dragon aura seemed so strange. Once it rushed out, it was stopped by the restriction of the deep Eryuan. Therefore, a sharp whistling sound came from the ears of everyone and the dragons. Then, wung wung. The bodies of several humans flashed with an intense brilliance, causing everyone's expression to change greatly. Ao Zhan hurriedly shouted, "This is the source of the dragon aura of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Although you all have the bloodline of the dragon race, you are still humans. You can't withstand the cleansing of this dragon aura. Quickly hide at the edge." Yes. The group of humans did not dare to delay and hurriedly flew away. However, just as the humans flew away, the group of dragons could not bear it anymore. The dragons of the Hui race were the first to appear with dragon patterns on their bodies, and their bodies rapidly expanded. Ao Zhan did not panic and shouted, "According to the previous plan, you all will leave this place like those humans." The dragons of the Hui race responded and flew away. After the dragons left, the fake leader Ao Tao was left alone on the spot. Ao Zhan looked at Ao Tao with some surprise, but did not say anything. He turned his head and stared at the dragon aura that rushed out, deep in thought. In just a moment, the dragons of the Dragon Island could not withstand it and left one after another. In the end, beside the light screen opened by the butterfly, only Ao Xing, Ao Zhan, Ao Tao, and Xiao Hua were left. Damn it. Ao Xing muttered and moved closer to Xiao Hua, as if this was the only way to be safer. Ao Zhan looked at Ao Tao, who was also flashing with faint black dragon aura, and said, "Ao Tao, the dragon aura of the deep Eryuan has stabilized. If you can withstand it, follow me down." "Yes, leader," Ao Tao said respectfully. "I also did not expect that my bloodline could be considered pure and could actually withstand the remnant dragon aura of the dragon domain. To be able to follow the leader and contribute to the revival of my Hui race is my lifelong wish." "All right." Ao Zhan nodded and shrunk into his human form. He then opened his mouth and a dragon pearl flew out. Another dragon breath landed on it, and the dragon pearl turned into a battle armor that covered Ao Zhan's body. Woo! Ao Xing was not to be outdone. He also took out the purple dragon crown, and a light purple armor appeared to protect his human form. Ao Tao looked at Xiao Hua and hesitated for a moment before he also transformed into his human form. However, he did not take out any dragon pearl. Instead, he took out a set of slightly old black soft armor from the dragon shell. This soft armor looked very ordinary, but when the dragon aura of the deep Eryuan rushed into this soft armor, it immediately let out an indescribable dragon roar. The entire soft armor trembled slightly, as if it was excited. When Ao Zhan saw this soft armor, his eyes flashed with surprise. Then, he looked at Ao Tao with even more interest as he put on the soft armor calmly. Then, a powerful aura spread out from his body. At this point, even Ao Xing felt that something was wrong. His dragon eyes moved up and down as he stared hard at Ao Tao. On the other hand, Xiao Hua, as a human, had a faint dragon aura on the surface of his body. He did not make any special preparations and said, "We are ready. Ao Zhan, will you lead the way?" Phew. Ao Zhan took a deep breath and suppressed the doubts in his heart. He nodded and said, "Of course I will lead the way. Everyone please follow me." With that, Ao Zhan moved his body and landed at the entrance of the deep Eryuan. Woo! Just as Ao Zhan approached the dragon aura that rushed out, The dragon armor around his body flashed with black dragon patterns. These dragon patterns were like wings and dragon whiskers, protecting Ao Zhan's body. When the dragon aura blew past these dragon patterns, it produced a very ear-piercing whistling sound. Ao Tao flew down with Ao Zhan. His black armor actually turned into a dragon shape to protect him. The dragon shape flowed in the dragon aura like a fish in water. After Ao Tao, Xiao Hua and Ao Sheng flew down and followed the two dragons into the deep Eryuan. The deep Eryuan was a space with an inexplicable brilliance. These brilliances were like strands of light that collided with each other, and little sparks appeared at the places where they collided. Following the fiery threads and sparks, Xiao Hua could clearly see that there were countless vortexes in the space. In the center of these vortexes was a sparkling and translucent, almost invisible. The rich dragon qi in the deep Eryuan was emitted from these dots. Ao Sheng. Ao Zhan landed in the space and paused for a moment. He then flew in a direction and warned, "These vortexes are the crystallization of dragon aura. They are a great supplement for dragons who have broken through the void. But for us, they are a great danger. You must not let these vortexes touch your dragon body. Otherwise, your dragon body will definitely be blown to pieces." "I know." Ao Sheng pouted and replied disdainfully, "I have the purple dragon crown to protect me. There will be no problem. You should ask Ao Tao more." "Leader, don't worry." Ao Tao hurriedly said, "My dragon armor should be able to protect me as well." Ao Zhan responded casually and sped up. There were many vortexes in the space. They were like fireflies flying around without any order. Although the three dragons were in human form, they were still huge. It was inevitable that they would come into contact with some vortexes. Boom boom. Occasionally, there would be some rumbling sounds. It was the sound of the vortexes landing on the three dragons' armor. However, the explosion of these crystals was blocked by the armor and did not cause any harm to the three dragons. As for Xiao Hua, it was even simpler. Not to mention that his body was originally small, just using the ethereal steps was enough for him to easily avoid all the vortexes. After flying for a full 2 hours, he saw a black mountain rock in front of him. Many strands of light fell on it, and it was as gorgeous as fireworks. Ao Zhan and Ao Zhan stopped and flew down. In the time it took to eat a meal, the fireworks actually lessened. There were actually rocks with a radius of several miles on the mountain peak like a monster. Ao Zhan said, "It's close to the left." "Is it here?" Ao Tao moved forward and said respectfully, "This subordinate will help the leader take out the crystal dragon." "Good." Ao Zhan nodded. "After you take it out, give it to Ao Sheng directly." Ao Tao responded casually and flew to the front of the stone wall. He only turned his dragon head to look at it for a while before decisively flying to the upper left. When he came to a triangular protrusion, he stretched out his right claw. Kacha kacha. The stone wall that had been tempered by dragon spiritual energy for God knows how many years was pierced by him. As Ao Tao's dragon claw went deeper, a large amount of stone fragments fell and a deep hole of more than 10 feet appeared on the stone wall. "Wait!" Ao Zhan suddenly spoke. Ao Tao was stunned. He unwillingly retracted his dragon claw and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong? Leader, could it be that this subordinate has found the wrong place?" "No." Ao Zhan answered indifferently. "You found it very accurately. The crystal dragon is here. However, this Ao has changed his mind. I want to take it out myself." "Good." Ao Tao retreated to the side and glanced at Ao Sheng from the corner of his eyes. Chapter 40-30. Roar. Ao Zhan raised his head and let out a long roar, revealing his dragon form. Along with the appearance of his dragon body, the roaming whirlpools immediately rushed over like a swarm of bees, producing a series of rumbling sounds. Woo! Ao Zhan couldn't care less about these. He opened his mouth and spouted a strand of black flame along with the dragon breath, pouncing towards the cave dug by Ao Tao. Whether it was Xiao Hua or Ao Sheng, their gaze followed the black flame and fell into the cave. But just at this moment, woo! Another dragon roar resounded, another dragon flame and dragon breath that was almost identical to Ao Zhan's fell into the cave. Boom! Another loud sound resounded, a surge of dragon might emerged from the cave, rushing out like a flash flood. Ao Tao! Ao Zhan was furious and shouted, "What are you doing?" "I'm not doing anything." Ao Tao didn't seem to be afraid of Ao Zhan. His gaze fell on the inside of the cave, only to see a crystal-like small dragon flying out along with the dragon breath of the two dragons. On the small dragon, one after another, thunderbolt-like dragon patterns crazily rushed out. Within the dragon patterns, there were scenes of small worlds appearing and disappearing all the time. "If you're not doing anything, why are you stopping me from collecting the crystal dragon spell?" Ao Zhan slightly narrowed his eyes, looking at Ao Tao and asked coldly. Ao Tao retracted his gaze, looking straight at Ao Zhan. He asked word by word, "I'm not stopping you, but I also want to collect the crystal dragon spell." "You? What right do you have to collect the crystal dragon spell?" Ao Zhan was so angry that he laughed. "Ha!" Ao Tao laughed loudly, twisting his dragon body and pouncing towards the crystal dragon spell. He shouted, "What right do I have? Because I am a dragon of the Hui race, because this crystal dragon spell was obtained by the patriarch of the Hui race, Ao Qin, at the risk of his life, I can't just casually offer this crystal dragon spell to the Dragon Island." "Woo!" Ao Zhan was furious hearing this. He swam his dragon body and pounced towards Ao Tao. That incomparably ferocious aura immediately blocked Ao Tao to the side. Roar! Ao Tao bellowed loudly, pouncing towards Ao Zhan again. He shouted, "Ao Zhan, do you know what it means to obtain the crystal dragon spell? You are the descendant of the Hui race. You actually dare to take the proud head of the Hui race of the 9 clans of the Dragon Island." The pitch-black dragon aura around Ao Zhan surged out rapidly. The large number of vortexes rushed into the dragon armor formed by the dragon pearl. The dragon aura surged into Ao Zhan's body, causing his body to expand rapidly. Swoosh! With a deafening sound, Ao Zhan's dragon tail strangely appeared out of thin air. That dragon tail was like a pair of scissors that instantly slashed Ao Tao's back. Ao Tao let out a wild howl. The pitch-black dragon armor trembled, and some dragon blood flowed out from under the dragon armor. "Ao Tao!" Ao Zhan didn't continue his attack. Instead, he said coldly, "I'm warning you. You don't have to say anything. I know what this crystal dragon scripture means. At the same time, I also know what the Dragon Island's 10 clans and Dragon Island's 9 clans mean. I naturally have my reasons for doing so. Since you know what the crystal dragon scripture means, then you should understand." Ao Tao's body trembled slightly. However, he still shouted, "My Hui race obtained the crystal dragon scripture. If we can comprehend the profundity of the dragon race's reproduction from the crystal dragon scripture, our descendants will naturally be able to reproduce and prosper. Not to mention suppressing the dragon race, even suppressing the Dragon Island's 9 clans wouldn't be difficult. At that time, even if you don't want to occupy the Dragon Island, my Hui race can occupy the other Dragon Islands. Who would have the patience to mingle with the Dragon Island's 9 clans? This crystal dragon scripture was obtained by Patriarch Ao Qin and the others who risked their lives. They even spent a lot of effort to hide it here. With just a few words from you, you can easily give it to the Dragon Island? How can you face the seniors of my Hui race who died for the crystal dragon scripture? Ao Tao. Ao Zhan shook his head slightly and sighed. I know you have always thought of yourself as the leader. Normally, you would also command the people of my Hui race. When I suddenly appeared, you were very unconvinced. You are thinking too much. Ao Tao said coldly, although you have never shown yourself, I have long known that there is a true leader like you. I have never been unconvinced. Ao Tao replied very calmly, I just don't understand. My Hui race has fought for so many years. Why is it that with just a few words from you, all the sacrifices we made in the past are all for nothing? We have sacrificed enough in the past. This kind of sacrifice is not worth it. Ao Zhan said indifferently, not to mention the dragons who died in the stacked Jade Legacy realm, not to mention the dragons who died around the Dragon Island, Just the dragons in the Paradise River were implicated because of my Hui race. How many dragons have died? In order to take revenge, how many dragons have died in the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas? My Hui race can no longer sacrifice anymore. If this continues, even if we obtain the Crystal Dragon Scripture and comprehend the profundity of the Crystal Dragon Scripture, how can my Hui race have any more dragons to reproduce? If these sacrifices are for my dragon race, I have nothing to say. However, these sacrifices are purely for the internal strife of my dragon race. There is no meaning at all. You are wrong. Ao Tao shook his head firmly and said, those who can persevere must be meaningful. Although you are the leader of my Hui race, you cannot completely represent my race. You do not have the right to decide who this Crystal Dragon Scripture belongs to. I want to take this Crystal Dragon Scripture away and listen to the decision of all the descendants of the Hui race. You dare! Ao Zhan roared. The pitch-black dragon aura around him was like his soaring anger. Ao Tao was also emitting the same dragon aura. However, this dragon aura was clearly not as dense and pure as Ao Zhan's. Ao Tao did not say anything else. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws as he pounced towards Ao Zhan. As Ao Tao waved his dragon claws, countless explosions occurred around Ao Zhan's dragon body. The dragon horns on his head even produced black crystal-like objects. These crystal-like objects turned into huge spikes amidst the dense dragon aura and rapidly pierced towards Ao Zhan. Ao Zhan roared and similarly pounced towards Ao Tao. The two dragons actually started fighting in the deep air lake. In just a short moment, the dragon armor of the two began to tear apart. The dragon scales under the dragon armor flew everywhere and dragon blood splashed. Xiaohua was somewhat dumbstruck. Looking at the Crystal Dragon Scripture that the two dragons were fighting over, it was quietly floating in the air. Many whirlpools fell on it, but they only accelerated the birth and death of the small thousand world inside the thunderbolt. Xiaohua urged his figure to fly over. Ao Xing was very obedient. He did not go near the Crystal Dragon Scripture and even avoided the two dragons' desperate fight. Xiaohua flew in front of the Crystal Dragon Scripture and stretched out his hand to grab it. See! Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air. Because in his hand, an indescribable burning sensation appeared. Even the dragon aura could not block it. Clearly, this Crystal Dragon Scripture was not something that a human race could collect. Xiaohua released the dragon vein Xiaohua. The dragon vein Xiaohua opened its mouth and swallowed the Crystal Dragon Scripture into its stomach. Immediately after, it entered Xiaohua's meridians. What made Xiaohua puzzled was that not only did Ao Zhan not care about him collecting the Crystal Dragon Scripture, even Ao Tao did not even glance at him. Fellow Taoist. Just when Xiaohua was puzzled, the dragon vein Xiaohua's voice sounded. This Crystal Dragon Scripture is a bit strange. You delay Ao Sheng and the others. Wait until we get out of the stacked Jade Legacy realm before returning it to them. Xiaohua looked at Ao Sheng who was sitting at the side and replied, if it was Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan, naturally it would be fine. But Ao Sheng still has the great elder of the dragon race in his body. How could he let I take it? I can take the dragon jade for you to comprehend. This is already the limit of his tolerance. How about? The dragon vein Xiaohua hesitated for a moment. Fellow Taoist can comprehend it inside the space? This Crystal Dragon Scripture contains a huge secret. I'm afraid it won't work. Xiaohua looked at Ao Sheng who seemed to have regained his senses and flew towards him. He said in a low voice, I will deal with Ao Sheng. You quickly comprehend it yourself. I will delay it for as long as I can. Alright. The dragon vein Xiaohua said a word and did not speak again. Xiaohua. Ao Sheng flew over and opened his mouth. Where is the Crystal Dragon Scripture? This old man is afraid that there will be some unforeseen event. I will keep it first. Xiaohua looked at the bloody battle between Ao Zhan and Ao Tao and seemed to reply casually. He sighed and said, O Xing, tell me, these two dragons are fighting like this. Is it the saying of us humans that there is no need to be so anxious? Of course it is. Ao Xing also sighed. I also did not expect that Ao Tao would reject my Dragon Island so much. In his heart, there is really a lot of hatred. Taoist, why don't you hand the crystal dragon scripture to me first? Oh, don't be anxious. Xiaohua waved his hand. Tell me, between Ao Tao and Ao Zhan, who is right and who is wrong? This. Ao Sheng hesitated for a moment and smiled bitterly. Actually, no one is wrong. Doesn't the human race often say that those who walk different paths cannot make plans together? These two dragons are probably like that. However, I feel that Ao Zhan is still right. After all, what he did will allow many dragons to live. It is already difficult for my dragon race to reproduce. One less dragon is really one less dragon. It cannot be compared to your human race. That can you? Without waiting for Ao Sheng to say more, Xiaohua interrupted again. The problem is that this Ao Tao's strength is not comparable to Ao Zhan at all. Furthermore, there is still a great elder in your body. No matter what, Ao Tao cannot succeed. Why did he choose to fight here? Ao Sheng's expression changed slightly. He shook his head and said, I don't know about this. Maybe he wants to take advantage of this crucial moment to threaten us? Xiaohua looked at Ao Sheng with doubt in his eyes. From Ao Sheng's repeated requests, Xiaohua understood that Ao Sheng wanted to get the crystal dragon scripture. But why did Ao Sheng not go to get the crystal dragon scripture at the first moment, but pay attention to the battle between Ao Zhan and Ao Tao, these two dragons without any suspense? Xiaohua did not have time to think anymore. He saw Ao Zhan roar furiously from afar. The black flames around his body soared into the sky. When they fell, the black flames wrapped around Ao Zhan like a black robe. Ao Zhan's huge dragon body turned into a bolt of lightning and pounced towards Ao Tao. As for Ao Tao, he did not have any intention of dodging. He roared furiously and the black dragon armor grew sharp spikes. The dragon horns rushed forward and met Ao Zhan's attack head-on. Not good. Xiaohua was shocked. Ao Sheng at the side was also stunned. It seemed that he could not understand Ao Tao's actions. Seeing that the two dragons were about to collide, Ao Zhan's body suddenly rose. Obviously, he did not want to kill Ao Tao. Ao Tao's body suddenly accelerated. His heart was facing Ao Zhan's dragon horns. It seemed that he did not care about his own life. Chapter 40-31. Pooh! As the white horse passed by, Ao Zhan's dragon horn pierced deeply into Ao Tao's heart. The dragon head that couldn't stop pierced through Ao Tao's body and tore it apart. It even brought Ao Tao's body and crashed into the mountain with a boom. Aren't you courting death? Ao Zhan pulled out his dragon horn and blocked the falling rocks from the mountain. He shouted coldly, What exactly are you thinking? Damn traitor! Ao Tao snorted coldly, I would rather die in the hands of the traitor than lower my head to the 9 clans of Dragon Island. Get lost. After I die, no dragon clan will interfere with your plan. You can obediently become the 10th elder of Dragon Palace. Ao Zhan's dragon eyes were filled with anger. He shouted, If you have such thoughts, it's better for you to die. Ao Tao's dragon body slid helplessly on the mountain rocks. There was an unyielding expression in his eyes. Taoist Master Xiao? Ao Tao's low and powerless voice came, Can you take me out? I have something to tell Taoist Master. I don't want other dragons to know. But Xiaohua originally wanted to stall for time. When he heard that Ao Tao had something to say, he immediately agreed. He glanced at Ao Zhan and Ao Sheng and asked, Do you want to come out too? Ao Zhan hesitated for a moment and said, Taoist Master, take Ao Tao up. I still want to go down and take a look. Since Ao Zhan wanted to go down, Ao Sheng naturally didn't want to be left behind. He replied, I'll go down too. Taoist Master, take Ao Tao up first. Okay. Xiaohua took Ao Tao's body that was starting to feel cold and flew up the ring-shaped mountain. Just after flying for a meal, Ao Tao couldn't hold on anymore. He said in a low voice, Taoist Master Xiao, I can't go up anymore. Let's just stay here. I'll explain everything to Taoist Master. But Xiaohua nodded, I'm also very curious. You're obviously not Ao Zhan's opponent. There's also the avatar of Dragon Palace's great elder beside you. Why do you have to seek death? It's very simple. Ao Tao said in a low voice. I have the same pure bloodline as Ao Zhan. I'm also the leader of the Gue clan. Xiao Hua was startled and instantly understood. In other words, although you are the leader on the surface, Ao Zhanji is the leader in the dark. But in reality, you are also the real leader, and you are the real leader in the dark. You could say that. Ao Tao replied, the bloodline of the Gue clan can be divided into two. Ao Zhan and I should be the same dragon. As he spoke, the black gas around Ao Tao slowly receded. The black armor also fell off, revealing a dragon head that looked exactly like Ao Zhan's. See? Xiao Hua was shocked. What do you mean? No one knows my true appearance. Ao Tao said, not even the second elder of Dragon Hall or the Dragon King of Dragon Palace. They only know that my bloodline is pure. They only know that I am a leader on the surface. I understand. Xiao Hua nodded slightly. I was forced by the second elder and had no choice but to submit to them. As long as I remain in this world, Ao Zhan will never be able to lead the Gue clan back to Dragon Island, even if he really cultivated to the Great Sage Realm. So, to fulfill his wish, to let the 10 clans of Dragon Island have true peace, I must die. Does Great Elder know about this? Whether Great Elder knows or not, I don't know. It's also not something I care about. Ao Tao squeezed out a smile. I can't even tell Ao Zhan about this. If he knows, there will definitely be a knot in his heart and he will definitely not be able to step into the Great Sage Realm. But if I don't say it, who knows what methods the second elder and the rest of the Dragon Clan will use to deal with Ao Zhan. So, Taoist, I hope you can remind Ao Zhan when you have the chance. Why does it have to be this Xiao? Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. Because of Taoist Zhao's dragon bloodline. Ao Tao replied, and also for Taoist to complete Ao Zhan's true dragon bloodline. How do you know? Xiao Hua was shocked. I originally came from Ao Zhan's bloodline. My strength is similar to his. It can even be said that we should be exactly the same. Ao Tao explained, and in the past, under the nurturing of the Dragon King of Dragon Palace, I was even a bit stronger than him. But now, his strength is more than a bit stronger than mine. Looking at his attitude towards Taoist, how can I not know? As for Taoist's bloodline, if I'm not wrong, it should be the Dragon Clan's Ho clan. At this point, Ao Tao's face turned red. Xiao Hua knew that it was the final radiance of the setting sun, and Ao Tao himself was also clear. No longer entangled in Xiao Hua's matter, he changed the topic and said, the dragon armor on my body belongs to the Ho clan's patriarch. Taoist, please give it to Ao Zhan. About my matter. Taoist, please don't tell Ao Zhan a single word. Moreover, if the second elder uses this as an excuse to blackmail him, you must clarify for me. This matter is of great importance. Taoist, please help me help my Ho clan. Good. Don't worry. Xiao Hua nodded. I will definitely help you with this matter. Moreover, I will also try my best to not let you die. No, I must die. Ao Tao hurriedly said, if I didn't want to die, why would there be today's matter? Taoist, if you save me now, you will be harming Ao Zhan and my Ho clan. Forget it. Xiao Hua understood and sighed. Letting Ao Tao breathe his last, he put his soul into the inside of the space. Looking at Ao Tao's dragon body that was exactly the same as Ao Zhan's, Xiao Hua also put him into the space. This dragon body must not be allowed to be obtained by any other Dragon Clan member. Otherwise, it would be used against Ao Zhan for not being able to become a saint. Of course, this was also one of the reasons why Ao Tao painstakingly asked Xiao Hua to send him up. Xiao Hua packed up, took the dragon armor, and flew down. As he flew, he shouted, green-robed fellow Taoist, you take control of the body. I will go and see the secret of the crystal dragon seal. As he spoke, Xiao Hua pulled out the green-robed Xiao Hua and sent the crystal dragon seal into the space. His mind also entered it. Jade Archive Xiaohua's figure appeared. Looking at the crystal dragon that was still surging with endless dragon patterns in the air, he raised his hand and pointed. Jade Archive Xiaohua's entire body turned into the shape of a dragon. As the dragon pattern changed, he gradually merged with it. Then, the entire space was gradually filled with a huge dragon-shaped shadow, just like a pillar of the sun's brilliance. About half an hour later, Jade Archive Xiaohua's figure came out of the crystal dragon seal. In his hand was something that looked like a key. His face carried a kind of penetrating understanding. However, there was even more confusion in this understanding. The dragon-shaped shadow in the space also disappeared. Strange. It seems, this crystal dragon seal doesn't have any secret of the dragon clan's reproduction. How come there are some secrets of the dragon field? If I take this key, Jade Archive Xiaohua thought to himself, damn it, even if I take this key, so what? I can't go to the dragon field anyway. What's the use of knowing this secret? But, since this thing is in my hands, can I still return it to them? These dragon clan members are scheming against each other. They are not much stronger than the human clan. Jade Archive Xiaohua came out of the space. Green-robed Xiaohua urged his figure to go deep into the deep Eryun. After finding Ao Zhan, Xiaohua raised the dragon armor and said with a smile, Ao Zhan, this is Ao Tao's battle armor. I think it's not bad, so I'll give it to you. Ao Zhan looked at the thick blood stains on the dragon armor and sneered, who would have the patience to use something left behind by this rebel dragon? Hee hee. Ao Xing laughed. Ao Zhan, this is the dragon armor of your Ji clan leader. I'm afraid Ao Tao got it from the dragon palace. If you don't want it, won't you have to return it to the dragon palace? Won't that be too convenient for the dragon palace? Ao Zhan muttered. He kept the dragon armor and asked, where's Ao Tao's corpse? What corpse is there? Xiaohua spread out his hands. I originally wanted to send him outside, but I didn't leave. He couldn't do it. After saying a few words, the dragon chi was broken by the dragon spirit chi. He got lucky. Ao Zhan snorted and said, Taoist Xiao, don't talk about these unhappy things. There seems to be the aura of the dragon core below. It can't be? How can it be so easy to get the dragon core? Xiaohua was a little happy. Ao Sheng smiled and said, Taoist Xiao, can you give me the crystal dragon seal? What's the hurry? Xiaohua said impatiently, I'll give it to you when we get out of the deep Eryun. Hee hee. Ao Sheng smiled and said, I seem to have suddenly thought of a clue about the dragon cleansing pool. I wonder if Taoist Xiao wants to hear it? Alright. Xiaohua hesitated for a moment and agreed. After Ao Sheng said a few words, Xiaohua sneered, Ao Sheng, since you know this, why didn't you tell me earlier? Ao Sheng smiled. First of all, I want to say that I just found out about this. Secondly, I don't think Taoist Xiao has told me everything he knows, right? Xiaohua didn't understand what Ao Sheng was referring to, but he didn't want to argue. He took out the crystal dragon seal and handed it to Ao Sheng, asking Ao Zhan, is there really a dragon core here? I don't know if it's a dragon core or something. Senior Ao Qin left the crystal dragon seal in the deep Eryun, so he naturally felt the aura of this pill. Otherwise, how would I dare to tell Taoist Xiao about it? Ao Zhan replied, however, we're close to the folded jade forgotten land. There are broken space veins inside. Not only do we not dare to go in, even someone as strong as Senior Ao Qin doesn't want to take the risk. I have to go down and take a look. Xiaohua pondered for a moment and said, you all have your gains, but I'm the only one who is empty-handed. Whether this pill is a dragon core or not, I have to get it. I'll go with you. Ao Zhan answered without hesitation. Let's go. Ao Sheng also didn't hesitate. However, as the two dragons roared and flew for a while, the dragon chi in front of them became more and more unpredictable. Moreover, there were hidden spatial veins appearing in the space. The two dragons almost fell into them several times. Thus, the two dragons didn't dare to move forward and waited on the side. Chapter 40-32. Xiaohua smiled faintly and didn't say much. After moving stealthily for a moment, he immediately opened his illusion breaker eyes and saw everything clearly. He saw that this place was somewhat similar to the space vein that Xiaohua encountered when he was in the nascent soul stage. Hidden void passages were connected together, and he couldn't distinguish where they went and where they came from. Moreover, within these space passages, there were some strange and incomprehensible brilliances that faintly appeared. Of course, this place was very different from before. Within Xiaohua's illusion breaker eyes, there were countless splendor that resembled dragon patterns gushing out like a fountain. Each dragon pattern was so dazzling that Xiaohua's illusion breaker eyes were somewhat sore. Moreover, each of these void passages was curved, and there were sections of pitch black where the curves were. Clearly, these were broken areas that couldn't be passed through. Even some of the passages that were slightly further away from Xiaohua, there were web-like light threads that covered the entire path. Not to mention the dragon body, even if Xiaohua used a transformation technique, he might not be able to pass through. The Dragon Hall's great elder is right. Xiaohua roughly looked for a moment and thought to himself, this should be the location of the broken space. When it was intact, it should have been connected to the so-called dragon field. But since there is still dragon chi rushing over, it means that there are still some places that have some connection to the dragon field. As for the size of the connection, I can't casually judge. While speaking, Xiaohua separated a trace of Yuan Shen. However, just as this trace of Yuan Shen left his body, a thunder-like sound rang out. His Yuan Shen was hit by the dragon patterns, and Xiaohua was so frightened that he hurriedly withdrew his Yuan Shen. This is troublesome. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and looked at the web-like space vein in front of him. A trace of vigilance appeared in his heart. I can't even use my Yuan Shen. What else can I rely on? However, thinking about the temptation of the dragon core or the ancient golden core, and then thinking about how there was no warning in his heart until now, Xiaohua's heart became lively again. He urged his body and carefully flew towards the place where the dragon chi was the densest. Xiaohua's ethereal steps didn't require true chi. Moreover, he had a marvelous sense of direction in the void. Therefore, he was able to effortlessly fly towards the depths of this void vein that even the great elder of the Dragon Hall feared. If this fragment of the dragon domain was truly related to the dragon domain, then perhaps Xiaohua's fleshly body could really transform into a dragon and enter the dragon domain. Unfortunately, Xiaohua's figure was blocked by layers of fence-like light patterns in the time it took for a meal to fly in. This light pattern was black and white, and there was almost no space in the middle. Moreover, in this small space, strands of dragon patterns fiercely penetrated through. Clearly, this was the end of the stacked jade forgotten realm. Behind this light pattern was either a dragon realm or an inexplicable void. The black and white patterns of light did not flicker at all, as if they were engraved in that space. However, between the black and white, there was an absolute majesty that made Xiaohua's heart tremble. Xiaohua could sense the will of the world above the black and white patterns of light, but his delusion breaker dharma I could not see any trace of it from the black and white. At first, Xiaohua wanted to test the might of these light patterns with magic tools and other objects. However, when he sensed the powerful will within, he immediately strangled the thought of testing it. He didn't dare to imagine what kind of punishment he would face if he touched the might of the world. Of course, the money-grubber Xiaohua also wouldn't give up on any opportunity. He flew slightly closer to the light patterns. The dragon patterns that flew out from the light patterns were so sharp that when they landed on Xiaohua's fleshly body, it almost gave birth to a pain of being cut into pieces. Xiaohua knew that he couldn't hold on for long. Clenching his teeth, a strand of divine sense came out from the space between his eyebrows. Rumble. Just as the strand of divine sense came out, countless thunder-like vibrations instantly entered Xiaohua's Naiwen palace. One after another, sparks that were 100 times more brilliant than the previous ones were born on top of the innate divine restriction. Outside the entire Naiwen palace, all the innate divine restrictions seemed to have come alive and slowly overflowed on the surface. Seeing that the dragon patterns had actually activated the innate divine restriction, how could Xiaohua dare to be negligent? The strand of divine sense hurriedly came out and landed on the black and white light patterns. Just as the strand of divine sense came in contact with the black and white light patterns, two indescribable ripples came out from the black and white light patterns respectively. When the ripples came in contact with the strand of divine sense, the strand of divine sense immediately turned into countless granules. These countless granules then immediately disappeared into the dragon patterns without a trace. The strand of divine sense disappeared, but the ripples didn't disappear. Following the origin of the strand of divine sense, they landed on the space between Xiaohua's eyebrows. Boom! There was a soundless muffled thunder, as if the entire world had collapsed in an instant. Xiaohua only felt one black and one white, one from top to bottom, the other from bottom to top. All of his senses immediately disappeared, and everything ceased to exist. Looking at Xiaohua's fleshly body again, in an instant, it was like a strand of divine sense. As the ripples entered his body, they turned into granules from the space between his eyebrows. Fortunately, although each granule was half black and half white, they weren't scattered by the dragon patterns like the strand of divine sense. Moreover, after the countless dragon patterns fell into these granules and caused the granules to shake, some more dragon patterns actually seeped out from the other side of the granules. Xiaohua's fleshly body was almost destroyed, and the Tao foundation that he had cultivated for hundreds of years was even more annihilated by the ripples. However, just like the granulation of the fleshly body, after the Tao foundation was destroyed, it also left behind a tiny, almost inaudible, like a red seed. This unforeseen event came really quickly. Xiaohua's mind didn't have time to hide in the space. He saw black and white filling his eyes, and his mind also became pure. He didn't know how much time had passed, maybe it was a snap of a finger, maybe it was millions of years, but Xiaohua's mind already didn't have any concept of time. Suddenly, a weak voice sounded in his mind. I want to go to Pingyang City to learn martial arts. Actually, from the moment Lu Zhen met sister-in-law, I've been thinking about why we were bullied by others but didn't have the power to fight back. It wasn't until this time, when I was injured by the bandits when I was marrying sister-in-law, that I knew the answer. It was because we didn't have martial arts, we didn't have enough strength to make others fear us. If I knew martial arts, those people definitely wouldn't dare to attack us. Moreover, didn't Uncle just say that the bandits of Shichui Mountain might come to our door? There's no guarantee that we can always rely on other people's protection. Only by mastering martial arts can we truly face the bandits. Only by learning martial arts will I be able to protect myself and everyone else. This voice was so childish, but also so determined. Hearing it, Xiaohua's mind, which seemed to be an idiot, suddenly woke up. Similarly, under the Tao foundation, the weak seed also began to beat. Is this my original intention? Xiaohua asked himself. It was as if this distant memory had been erased from his mind, and was suppressed to the bottom of his memory by hundreds of years of radiant splendor and light dust. Is this what I did? Following Xiaohua's rhetorical question, a series of familiar yet strange old memories jumped out one after another. These memories were not connected, nor were there any order to them. However, the more Xiaohua looked at them, the more resolute his heart became. And the seed under the Tao foundation grew crazily, as if it had been watered with spiritual liquid. Previously, there might have been some flaws or cracks in the Tao foundation, but now they were all gone, crystal clear and flawless. Not bad. In the end, after the huge sea monster got the immortal morning pill, the light screen and memories no longer appeared. Xiaohua suddenly opened his eyes, and an indescribable determination appeared like a mountain. I treat the world with kindness, I treat the people with benevolence, I treat the world with firmness, I treat the sun and the moon with sincerity. If I don't become an immortal, who will? Shua. At this time, in the space where Xiaohua of the Way of the Heavens was, an obscure fluctuation came out from the space and fell on the granulated Xiaohua. The countless granules gathered together, seemingly to form a complete Xiaohua. Unfortunately, just as Xiaohua's figure was about to heal, another fluctuation came out from the black and white, and Xiaohua's figure was forcefully separated. Just when Xiaohua's mind became blurry again, the familiar flickering light in his childhood dreams slowly appeared. Under the fluctuation, Xiaohua's figure finally became complete. Xiaohua opened his eyes, and the flickering light in his eyes slowly disappeared. Then, Xiaohua didn't dare to stay any longer and urged his figure to fly back. After flying for a while, Xiaohua's figure stopped at a place. This place was also a space passage, and Xiaohua also knew that this passage was basically closed and there wouldn't be any exit. However, Xiaohua had a very strong feeling that there was something very important inside. Dragon Core? Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and stared at the entrance of the passage. The entrance of this passage was a little strange. Several irregular light patterns were faintly discernible. These light patterns not only blocked the dragon aura from gushing out, but also covered up the remaining brilliance. It seemed that there was a lot of danger inside. Facing the strange light patterns, Xiaohua already didn't dare to make any attempts. Previously, if there wasn't the fluctuation of light tracing, Xiaohua would have already turned into dust. But if he had to give up the dragon core, Xiaohua was also somewhat reluctant. After quietly observing for a moment, Xiaohua found some opportunity. When the light patterns disappeared again, Xiaohua didn't hesitate to urge his figure and drifted into the passage. Just as Xiaohua entered, the concealed light patterns appeared from another direction and blocked Xiaohua's retreat. So close! Xiaohua let out a sigh of relief and continued to fly forward. Not only the entrance of this passage was strange, even the inside was also very strange. It was like a winding path on top of a mountain, mostly twisted. After flying for a while, Xiaohua didn't even remember how many turns he had taken. Suddenly, a scarlet dragon shape appeared in front of his eyes. This dragon-shaped brilliance was too brilliant, dazzling Xiaohua's delirium vision to the point of dizziness. Xiaohua was greatly alarmed and hurriedly closed his delirium vision. When he opened his eyes again, he saw a palm-sized crystal dragon quietly floating in the air. And far away from the dragon, there was a fist-sized pill, like a stardust, slowly rotating. Xiaohua's eyes lit up and he stretched out his hands, one in each hand grabbing the dragon and the pill. Chapter 40-33. Xiaohua's hand had just touched the medicinal pill. Weng. The medicinal pill unexpectedly issued a roaring sound like a magic treasure. However, even though the medicinal pill seemed to have spirituality and jumped a few times, it still obediently fell into Xiaohua's left hand, smoothly exceeding Xiaohua's expectations. But at the same time, before Xiaohua's right hand could touch the crystal dragon, roar, the crystal dragon suddenly moved, turning into a stream of light and flying in the direction Xiaohua came from. Damn it! Although Xiaohua had obtained the medicinal pills, he still felt very uncomfortable seeing the little crystal dragon fly away. Cursing under his breath, he sent the medicinal pills into his space and chased after it. After chasing for a while, Xiaohua suddenly realized that the path the crystal dragon flew was exactly the same as the path he flew in. Even when he came in previously, it would appear again when he stopped at certain places. Damn it, it can't be! Xiaohua woke up. Could it be? This crystal dragon accidentally entered this space passage? It has been waiting for a dragon to come and find it? If this crystal dragon is like this, then what about the dragon pill? Could it have also entered here by mistake? While Xiaohua was thinking, the crystal dragon had already flown out of the light pattern. The timing was really just right. Xiaohua had no choice but to wait at the place where the light pattern was, waiting for the next time to disappear before coming out of the space passage. After coming out, Xiaohua flew out of the space passage and flew towards where Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan were. However, when Xiaohua flew back, Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan were already gone. Xiaohua sneered. Needless to say, the crystal dragon must have appeared. The two dragons chased after it at the same time. Neither of them wanted this mysterious dragon to fall into the other's hands. Xiaohua stopped for a while, then flew towards the entrance of the deep airlock. After leaving the ring-shaped mountain, the restrictions that were previously all over the place had disappeared. Xiaohua released his Yuan Shun, but he didn't see any dragons monsters, or humans around. It was quiet. Xiaohua thought for a while, then sat down cross-legged and his mind entered the space. In the space, the pill he just received turned into a flame that was dozens of feet large and floated in the air. On the surface of the flame, there were tens of thousands of tiny vortexes. In the center of these vortexes were strands of crystal silk, which was the unique brilliance of the space. This Jade Archive. Xiaohua looked at the huge medicinal pill, and his face immediately showed an expression of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Damn it, this might really be a dragon pill. The elixir refined by the dragon god in the dragon domain. Even if it was not consumed by the dragon race, it was definitely not something that ordinary Dao sect cultivators could consume. With such a tremendous medicinal strength, even if it was me, I would still explode from the medicinal strength. If I had guessed correctly, the pill from the upper realm must have been left behind in the space vein and was flushed into the space passage with no exit by the dragon chi. Now, I had obtained it by chance. Sigh, what a pity. So what if I get it? Just look at it and don't consume it. As he spoke, Xiaohua saw Xiaogua, who had always been diligent, standing there and looking at the medicinal pill as if she was worshipping it. Her eyes were filled with shock. Xiaogua, what did you see? Jade Archive. Xiaohua asked curiously. Reporting to Master. Xiaogua's gaze was reluctant to move away from the medicinal pill, and she replied, I saw the alchemy technique that Master taught me before in the flames, and I also saw other alchemy techniques that I have never learned before. It can be like this. Jade Archive. Xiaohua looked at the flaming medicinal pill in disbelief. Unfortunately, even if he was Jade Archive Xiaohua, he still could not see anything from the flames. Master, Xiaogua asked timidly, can I use those alchemy techniques to refine medicinal pills? Of course you can, why not? Jade Archive Xiaohua immediately replied with a smile. Xiaogua, the more you can refine and better medicinal pills, the happier this old man will be. Thank you, Master. Xiaogua was overjoyed and looked at the sky with even more focus. Sigh, I worked hard for nothing. Jade Archive Xiaohua sighed and withdrew from the space. After waiting for another half a day, seeing that Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan had not returned, Xiaohua stood up and smiled. Hee, since Ao Sheng is not coming back, then don't blame this Xiao for not keeping his promise. This Xiao will go find the dragon cleansing pool myself. Xiaohua originally did not know where the dragon cleansing pool was. In the deep air lake, he had forced Ao Sheng to reveal some vague clues. At that time, Ao Sheng had agreed to go with Xiaohua, but now that there was an unforeseen event, Xiaohua could only look for it himself. Beside a stream, outside 2 mountains, 3 dragons playing with a pearl, for seasons alternating. Xiaohua randomly picked a direction and flew, pondering as he flew. What does this mean? Is it the location of the dragon cleansing pool, or the place where it appears? This sentence was naturally transmitted to Xiaohua by Ao Sheng, but unfortunately, Xiaohua still did not understand the meaning of this sentence. After flying for the time it took to eat a meal, Xiaohua frowned and descended from the sky. This was because below him, in the valley, there were not only huge amounts of dragon crystals, but also dozens of badly mutilated dragon bodies. Just like what he saw before, many of the dragon bodies had their hearts cut by sharp blades. Sigh, the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. After witnessing the confrontation between Ao Zhan, Ao Tao, and the Dragon Hall's Great Elder, Xiaohua increasingly felt that the dragon race was much smarter than ordinary monster race. In terms of scheming, they even surpassed the human race. Since the Dragon Island was like this, then how bad could the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas be? Xiaohua could not help but sigh inwardly, this must be for some benefits. They recklessly attacked in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Xiaohua collected the dozens of dragon bodies, and also collected the huge amount of huge rocks. Only then did he fly into the sky and fly far away. Right after Xiaohua flew away, a strange shadow slowly rose from the depression in the mountain peak in the distance. It stared at Xiaohua's back for a long time. Xiaohua naturally did not know that there was a shadow behind him that even his own Yuan Shen did not notice. He only released his Yuan Shun to explore the surroundings. After all, in the verse, there was beside a stream, so he naturally had to find the stream first. The stacked jade legacy realm was very strange. There was no stream at all, let alone a lake. This was very inconsistent with the Dragon Island located in the Four Seas. It was also because of this that Xiaohua was confident that he could find the dragon cleansing pool. After all, as long as he could see the stream, it meant that the dragon cleansing pool was close by. After flying for a few more days, Xiaohua did not find the stream, but he did find a lot of dragon crystals and piled them up in the space. On this day, another winding mountain range appeared. Without waiting for Xiaohua to stop, a few unfamiliar yuan-shins swept over from the mountain range. When these yuan-shins swept past Xiaohua, they immediately locked onto Xiaohua. A few dragon roars could be heard from below the mountain range. 5 huge dragons of different colors surrounded Xiaohua with clouds. The light red dragon in front opened its mouth and shouted loudly, "Are you Dao Sex Xiaohua?" Just when the yuan-shin locked onto Xiaohua, Xiaohua already sensed that something was wrong. Unfortunately, his flying technique was not fast enough in this place. The 5 huge dragons easily surrounded him. When he heard the huge dragon speak, Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat. He knew that he had encountered trouble. He pondered for a bit, then cupped his hands and said, "That's right, I am Xiaohua. I wonder why fellow immortal is looking for I? Where's Ao Sheng?" Another dark blue huge dragon released his yuan shen and looked around, then asked. Xiaohua shook his head. "I was with Ao Sheng earlier, but for some reason he suddenly left because of some matters. After that, I never saw him again." "Ha, I'm afraid he has already died in the experiential learning." A yellow huge dragon laughed loudly. "Ao Sheng's life and death has nothing to do with you or me." The huge dragon that spoke first said, "We only need to kill him. Just a human cultivator. I don't know how you got the favor of the Dragon Palace Elder to actually come to the stacked jade legacy realm for experiential learning." A light gray huge dragon seemed to be very dissatisfied with Xiaohua entering the stacked jade legacy realm first. He snorted coldly, like a huge thunderbolt, and muttered. The last purple huge dragon that didn't speak until now said coldly, "Why are you saying so much? Just kill this despicable human. Second brother already passed the information to us. If he didn't ruin things, this king could have completely taken over the heavenly abode river after returning to the Dragon Palace from the Dragon Island. And now, all the credit is taken away by second brother." Hearing the purple huge dragon's words, Xiaohua was shocked. He hurriedly shouted, "You are the dragon race of the North Sea Dragon Palace? You are the 7th prince by For hearing Xiaohua call him by the 7th prince was furious. He raised his head and roared, "Human, this daddy is the 7th prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Zheng. Don't associate this daddy with that tiger-shaped thing. That thing is only this daddy's descendant. It is only fit to be carried in the mortal world's government." Xiaohua's eyes turned quickly. Looking around, he said with some fear, "Since the 2nd prince has already returned to the Dragon Palace, then the dragon race of the heavenly abode river was also captured by him. What's the use of venting your anger on I now? Damn human, you ruined my North Sea Dragon Palace's great matter, ruined this king's good thing. How can this king spare you?" Ao Zheng roared. Waving his dragon claws, he shouted at the other dragons, "Don't talk to him anymore, Ao Yen, you and the others attack." After looking for him for so many days, he finally ran into our subordinates. Don't let him escape. Roar! The 4 huge dragons roared, baring their fangs and claws as they rushed toward Xiaohua. Xiaohua's eyes flashed fiercely as he saw that this was not going to end well. With a loud shout, he took out the wishful staff and flew towards the light gray dragon, Ao Yen, without activating the heavenly law's embodiment technique. Although Xiaohua's figure was tall and thin, in front of Ao Yan's gigantic dragon form, he was truly insignificant. However, the dragon aura around Ao Yan's body surged, filling up the space within 1,000 feet. When Xiaohua neared, a fishy smell came from within the dragon scales. The dragon claws seemed to be piercing through tens of thousands of sharp swords, enveloping Xiaohua's surroundings and piercing towards him. Chapter 4034. Woo! The wishful steel staff stirred the dragon chi and smashed into Ao Yan's dragon claw. Before it could get close, the wind from the dragon claw was extinguished. Moreover, just as Ao Yan was shocked and wanted to avoid the wishful steel staff and grab Xiaohua's body, the wishful steel staff hit the side of the dragon claw at an extremely strange angle. Ao Yan screamed and the dragon claw immediately collapsed. Looking at Xiaohua again, his figure suddenly urged, wanting to use the power of the staff to escape the encirclement of the 5 dragons. Ha! Unfortunately, before Xiaohua could fly more than 100 feet, a thunderous sigh and spear appeared in front of Xiaohua. The dark blue dragon that was previously on the side of Xiaohua showed a human form, and the long spear crossed the sky and pointed at Xiaohua's chest. Second Prince is right. The human race is the most cunning. We just started to fight, and you want to escape before even a move and a half. This kind of thinking, how is this the demeanor of a master? Boom! Xiaohua did not dare to neglect. He waved the wishful steel staff and sent the long spear flying. At the same time, his figure retreated. When he squinted his eyes and looked around, he found that he was still under the siege of the 5 dragons. Except for the position of the 7th Prince Ao Zheng, the position of the other 4 dragons had changed. Even the 5 dragons had shrunk their dragon bodies and turned into human form in order to trap him. Grandmas, I'm afraid it's a kind of array formation of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Xiaohua was a master of array formations. Now, he understood at a glance and secretly complained, I'm afraid my plan to escape with the help of a small body will not work. Xiaohua had already fought with Ao Yan. Although he injured Ao Yan, now looking at Ao Yan's indifferent appearance and the teasing look in her eyes, it was obvious that he had deliberately injured himself before to reveal his true purpose. Xiaohua was now accustomed to the cunning of the dragon clan. He roared and displayed the heavenly law embodiment technique. He waved the wishful steel staff and flew toward the light red dragon clan. As early as in the Dragon Palace Hall, the Great Elder had already told Xiaohua about the strangeness of the stacked Jade Legacy realm. Naturally, Xiaohua was already prepared in his heart. Although all magical powers such as divine thoughts could not be used, he relied on the monster body and the dragon vein to still be at ease in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. He even broke Ao Jiao's Lihan Heaven. Xiaohua gradually threw the Great Elder's words to the back of his mind. He felt that by relying on his own monster race cultivation method, he could also get whatever he wanted. But now that he had encountered Ao Zheng and the other 4 dragons whose elemental power was around the 6th or 7th grade, Xiaohua realized that his monster race cultivation was still too shallow. Compared with these old monsters who had lived for tens of thousands of years and cultivated for thousands of years, he was too far away. Seeing that Xiaohua had transformed into his Transcendence Golden Body, the North Sea Dragon clan knew that Xiaohua had given up on escaping and was ready to fight to the death. The group of dragons also urged their dragon chi and revealed their dragon bodies. When the light red dragon clan saw Xiaohua flying over, he also opened his mouth and a flame spear fell into his hand. He danced and fought with Xiaohua. The North Sea Dragon Palace originally had a foundation. The dragons who could follow Ao Zheng to participate in the stacked Jade Legacy realm were naturally the elites of the North Sea Dragon Palace. The magical powers of this light red dragon clan were not inferior to Xiaohua's. Under the dragon chi of the stacked Jade Legacy realm, he was even more valiant than Xiaohua. Seeing that Xiaohua was already at a disadvantage, Ao Zheng and the other dragons gradually relaxed their vigilance. The 4 dragons only guarded the 4 corners to prevent Xiaohua from escaping and did not particularly press him. Xiaohua seemed to be focused on the fight with the light red dragon clan, but the light in his eyes was still looking around. When he saw the 4 dragons relax, his figure immediately burst out, and the wishful steel staff soared, hitting the opponent. The light red dragon clan was naturally shocked. The long spear danced, and the end of the spear swept across. Boom! The spear collided with the wishful steel staff, but this time, it was somewhat beyond the dragon's expectations. The force from Xiaohua's wishful steel staff was stronger than before, and the dragon's long spear was somewhat bent. The dragon hurriedly urged his dragon chi, and his strength rose again. At this moment, Xiao Hua's wishful steel staff shrank, and his whole body fell down extremely strangely with the force of the long spear. The dragon was stunned, but in a flash he understood. His body moved, and the long spear chased after him. He shouted, "Second prince, this cunning human still wants to escape." However, before he finished speaking, where the long spear was pointing, Xiao Hua's figure suddenly disappeared. Even if he swept with his primordial thought, he could not find any trace at all. Quick! In the distance, Ao Yen shouted, "Ao Ding, you continue to chase, I will chase above, don't let him create a diversion. Bao Yu check the left, Bao Long, check the right." Ao Zheng's face was also red, and he seemed to be a little angry. He had been stable and motionless all this time, but now he could not help but move. He ordered and flew down. Seventh King, the yellow dragon Ao Yu hurriedly reminded, "Don't worry, let's stabilize the formation." "Got it." Ao Zheng waved his dragon claws impatiently. "You and the others, quickly kill this human." "Yes." Ao Yu and the others released their primordial thought to search around, and although Ao Zheng said that he would not move, his body still flew up. As he flew up, the space that was previously sealed by the 5 dragon auras began to have some gaps, and the dragon chi from outside began to pour in. However, Ao Zheng seemed to be a little anxious, and did not care about this. His dragon head looked around, worried that Xiao Hua would take advantage of the chaos to escape. Suddenly Ao Zheng stretched out his claws, and a purple spear appeared out of thin air, piercing towards the slanted space above without any warning. Peng! With a loud sound, at the tip of the spear, circles of ripples appeared, and the space was slightly distorted. Behind these ripples, Xiao Hua's figure was revealed. That spear pierced into Xiao Hua's arm, and Xiao Hua's face was not only filled with pain, but also extreme shock. "Ha!" Ao Zheng laughed loudly, and at the same time, the 4 dragons who released their primordial thought to search around also laughed. They all stopped, and their figures cooperated with Ao Zheng, surrounding Xiao Hua in a formation. You guys already knew?" Xiao Hua's right hand landed on the spear that pierced into his arm, and he asked in surprise. Ao Zheng said proudly, "Cunning human, don't you know the magical powers of the Dragon King's 9 sons? Just now you called this king Bai Then, and in just a moment you forgot about Bai An's magical powers?" Xiao Hua thought for a moment, and sighed, "This Xiao really forgot. Bai An is enshrined in the court of justice, naturally because Bai An is very observant, and nothing in the world can be hidden from his eyes. So you, the Dragon King's 7th prince, also have this magical power. Since you know, then die." Ao Zheng laughed sinisterly, and his dragon claws suddenly became thicker, and even dragon scales appeared on the spear, and drilled into Xiao Hua's body. Xiao Hua sneered, and with a wave of his hand, the spear that had almost transformed into a dragon's shape was grabbed by the neck, and no matter how it struggled, it could not escape. "Damn it!" Ao Zheng urged his dragon power, but he actually could not pull out the spear, and he unconsciously lost face. He immediately understood that when he was plotting against Xiao Hua also played a small trick on him. Roar, dragon patterns appeared on Ao Zheng's body, and he madly pounced towards Xiao Hua, and his dragon claws involuntarily exerted strength again. Woo! Xiao Hua suddenly loosened his grip, and his whole body floated away like a paper man, and disappeared in a moment. "My lord!" Ao Ding and the other dragons were shocked. If Xiao Hua escaped at this time, it would really be a big loss of face. Ao Zheng did not say anything, and a blue light flashed on his dragon horn, and like a thunderbolt, a brilliance flew everywhere, and the space around thousands of feet around was torn apart by this brilliance. But Xiao Hua, who was good at escaping, was not in this space at all. "Damn it!" Ao Zheng roared, and the dragon scales on his body emitted a rare purple cloud, and the entire cloud rushed into the space like a hurricane, wreaking havoc in places where the brilliance could not find. However, Xiao Hua seemed to have disappeared into thin air, and there was no sign of him appearing at all. Phew! Ao Zheng exhales and raises his head to look at the 4 dragons who want to speak but don't dare to. He suddenly laughs. "Damn it, no wonder second brother said that this Xiao Hua is cunning. This king still unknowingly fell into his scheme. Forget it, why is this king wasting time with him? As he spoke, Ao Jing opened his mouth, and a faint purple dragon breath came out, and then a fist-sized dragon pearl flew out, supported by the dragon breath. The dragon pearl's brilliance was faint, but where the brilliance went, all the dragon chi showed the shape of dragon patterns, and at the top of the space, in a corner, Xiaohua's figure appeared. Roar! The one closest to Xiaohua was the deep blue dragon Ao Long, and Xiaohua was at the edge of his perception. If he moved slightly, as long as the 5 dragons relaxed in the slightest, Xiaohua would immediately escape through this gap, and Ao Long could not help but cry out in alarm. Xiaohua sighed when he saw that the light had appeared and his body was exposed. Without the escape techniques that he usually had, in front of these 5 giant dragons whose elemental energy was around the 7th level, he was doomed. Ao Long cried out in alarm, and also opened his mouth, taking out a jade bottle-like dragon weapon, and then a brilliance rushed out from the dragon weapon, and the nearby dragon chi crazily rushed in, only to see a waterfall rushing out from the dragon weapon, smashing towards Xiaohua. Seeing the surging water, each drop of water containing great power, Xiaohua not only did not panic, but a trace of melancholy appeared on his face. In the past, he relied on the innate true water to kill countless enemies, but now, he was blocked by a dragon using the same Dao method. Xiaohua did not dodge, and the heavenly law's embodiment of earth rapidly absorbed the dragon chi, and strands of dragon patterns also appeared on the surface of his bronze body. Swish! Ao Long's jade water rushed onto Xiaohua's dharma body without any suspense, and not only did countless water sparks appear, even the surrounding space was somewhat distorted by these splashes of water. However, what made Ao Long stunned was that Xiaohua's body only flashed brilliantly, and the splashes of water did not cause any harm to Xiaohua at all. Chapter 40-35. No way. Ao Long was a little absent-minded. The dragon weapon in his hand also awkwardly stopped in midair. Of course, he didn't think that Xiaohua's body would be reborn in the blood pool. How could his dragon weapon injure him? Ooh! Xiaohua took advantage of Ao Long's distraction and swung his wishful staff. Boom! It hit the dragon weapon. A burst of splendor splashed, like a silver bottle leaking. Countless splashes seeped out from the cracked dragon weapon, causing Ao Long to be flustered. I'll meet Taoist Master Xiao. The light red dragon Ao Ding hurriedly came out from the side. He opened his mouth and a fiery red ring came out. The ring rushed out and immediately ignited with flames. The flames were blue and purple, scorching the space within 1,000 feet. Xiaohua sneered. Since he started cultivating, when was he afraid of going overboard? He was about to wave the wishful staff in his hand when he heard Ao Jing, who was beside him, roaring, "Don't do anything! All of you go together! Kill him as soon as possible! Once this matter is over, we still have the more important 4 C's debate." But hearing Ao Zheng's anger, Ao Ding and the other dragons didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly urged their dragon chi and surrounded Xiaohua. At the same time, they took out their dragon weapons and attacked Xiaohua at the same time. Cunning dragons! Xiaohua shouted, for 7th grade dragons actually besieged Xiaohua, a human. If this spread out, I'll be laughed at. Ha, Xiaohua, you're wrong. Ao Jing laughed. They're only 6th grade elemental energy. Only with the help of dragon chi here can they have the strength of upper 6th grade. Their cultivation should be about the same as yours. Moreover, do you think you can escape from me today? Can others hear your grievances? Okay, Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and sneered. In that case, I have no choice but to fall out with the North Sea Dragon Palace. I don't have any face to begin with, so it doesn't matter. Xiaohua, you're overestimating yourself. At this moment, Ao Zheng's figure also started to move. His ability was the highest and should be at the middle stage of the 7th grade of origin power. However, he was the same as Ao Jing. Other than the fact that he was a little angry previously and lost his composure, he did not particularly step forward during the fight. As Xiaohua's voice fell, the bronze brilliance around Xiao Hua's body gradually retracted. Shortly after, his arms and other parts of his body began to mutate. Command edicts that were harder than sharp swords were born. An aura of disdain for the entire world was born from Xiao Hua's body. This aura grew denser and denser, and in the end, it actually forced the 5 dragons to fly back several thousand meters. Just as the 5 dragons were once again dumbfounded, the heavenly phoenix's demonic body, the phoenix parasol tree, appeared. The phoenix parasol tree raised its head and let out a long cry. The dragon chi in the surrounding hundreds of kilometers swarmed into the phoenix parasol tree, and the flame-like phantom around the phoenix parasol tree swayed wildly. Woo! After the phoenix parasol tree appeared, it did not give Ao Zheng and the other dragons a chance to catch their breath. It stretched out its twin thorns and the phoenix beak pierced through the void, directly pecking at Ao Yu's forehead. The phoenix parasol tree's claws, which were even more arrogant than Ao Yu's dragon claws, carried an unparalleled amount of dragon chi as it sharply scratched at Ao Yu's chest. Ao Yu was stunned at first, but then he went berserk. As he roared, his dragon body expanded by 3 times and he pounced at the phoenix parasol tree. Rumble! The dragon and phoenix fought fiercely, and the dragon chi exploded. Pieces of flesh and territory flew out amidst the explosion. Although Ao Yu's dragon body was not as tough as the phoenix parasol tree's phoenix body, his control of the dragon body and the use of dragon chi far surpassed the phoenix parasol tree's. Although the phoenix parasol tree's dragon body was torn to pieces, Ao Yu also used his dragon tail to entangle the phoenix parasol tree's wings. The dragon armor on his dragon head even took the opportunity to pierce 2 large bloody holes in the phoenix parasol tree's arms. Roar! Just as the phoenix parasol tree's left claw was about to pierce Ao Yu's abdomen, Ao Ding roared and pounced from the phoenix parasol tree's back, flames shooting out of his mouth and nose. Damn it! Though the phoenix parasol tree wasn't afraid of the flames, he didn't dare underestimate Ao Ding when he saw his back. He spread his wings and ignored the injured Ao Yu, preparing to meet Ao Ding's attack. But right at this moment, an invisible restriction appeared around his body like shackles, and began to restrict his movements. This is bad. Alarmed, the phoenix parasol tree hurriedly looked around. Ao Zheng, who'd been standing quietly, was now swimming around him with the other 3 dragons. Clouds of gray, blue, red, yellow, and purple surged out of the 5 dragons' bodies. These clouds intertwined with the dragon chi and spun for nearly 1,000 miles. The chains that were imprisoning the phoenix parasol were clearly born from these clouds. Damn it, so this is the real purpose of the North Sea Dragon Palace's dragon formation. The phoenix parasol tree finally understood. The 5 dragons had taken turns to attack him, but it was all a ruse. Ao Zheng's true intention was to trap him to death with the formation. Dragons were truly cunning. The phoenix parasol tree let out another long cry and flapped his wings. The binding force was greatly reduced, and he reached out with his right claw. An illusory figure suddenly appeared in front of Ao Ding's abdomen. A bloody gash dozens of meters long appeared, and dragon blood flowed out. Wounded by the phoenix parasol tree as soon as they met, Ao Ding hurriedly retreated in fright. Roar! Right at this moment, the image of an enormous dragon suddenly appeared on the phoenix Wu's back. As soon as it appeared, it immediately roared furiously, and then the dragon chi in an area of 500 kilometers seemed to have gone mad and charged towards the dragon and phoenix. Expanses of gorgeous multicolored light suddenly appeared around the dragon and phoenix, and rays of multicolored light were reflected from within the multicolored light. Dragon and phoenix parasol tree? Ao Zheng was shocked, and then greed appeared in his eyes. He roared, "Capture this human alive! Capture this demon phoenix alive!" Before Ao Zheng could finish speaking, a series of cryptic draconic words came out from the dragon-shaped phantom. As soon as the draconic words appeared, the draconic aura that was madly pouring in suddenly became violent. Balls of draconic aura that were dozens of miles long began to condense. Within a range of 500 miles, Countless balls of draconic aura instantly gathered. These balls of dragon chi were like warriors, ready to pounce on Ao Zheng. Dragon Heavenly Draconic Technique? Ao Zheng was completely dumbfounded. Not only did he not expect Xiao Hua to know the Heavenly Draconic Technique, but he also didn't expect it to be so powerful. Run! Ao Zheng looked at the dense balls of dragon chi within 1,000 miles. His body moved quickly, and he charged straight up into the sky. As soon as Ao Zheng rushed up, a flaw appeared in the dragon formation of the 5 dragons. The phoenix parasol tree had no intention of chasing Ao Zheng at all. It spread its wings, and its huge body immediately rushed out like a meteor, flying in a certain direction. The moment the phoenix parasol tree rushed out of the encirclement of the 5 dragons, the balls of dragon chi within 1,000 miles suddenly disappeared at the same time. Ao Zheng had just rushed 10,000 feet into the sky when he naturally felt the change in the dragon chi. At this time, how could he not know that Xiao Hua's heavenly draconic technique was only half-baked and had no power at all? He was actually scared to this extent by Xiao Hua's empty fort strategy. It was really a disgrace to the dragons of the North Sea Dragon Palace. Chase! Ao Zheng roared and chased after the phoenix parasol tree without stopping. Ao Yu and Ao Ding dragged their injured bodies, and Ao Long and Ao Yen also roared as they chased after it. Although the 5 dragons were heroic, other than Ao Zheng, the other 4 dragons had the same thought. Damn it, how can we catch up to such a cunning human? Sure enough, in the time it took to eat a meal, Xiao Hua, who was in front of the 5 dragons, had already disappeared. The 5 dragons did not know whether Xiao Hua flew away or was hiding in the surroundings. Moreover, other than Ao Zheng, the 4 dragons did not dare to be too far away, for fear that Xiao Hua would take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Roar! Ao Zheng let out a furious roar. He swung his dragon tail and flipped over a small mountain. He then flew to another place. The other 4 dragons shrunk their necks. No one dared to say anything. They followed him with their tails between their legs. 5 dragons with 6th or 7th grade essence energy actually let a human escape in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. If word got out, it would really be a disgrace to the dragons. 2 hours later, at the place where Ao Zheng overturned the small mountain, Xiao Hua's figure appeared. Xiao Hua, who had successfully escaped from the 5 dragons, actually had a vexed expression on his face. Damn it, this Feng Wu's incarnation was originally reserved for this Xiao to use when walking in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm in the future. Now, it was actually forced to reveal by Ao Zheng. What a blunder, Xiao Hua thought to himself. But if I don't use the phoenix body, what other divine abilities can this Xiao have? That demonic blade had just been activated once. If I activate it consecutively, perhaps I can kill Ao Zheng, but what about this Xiao? I'm afraid I will also fall into the demonic path, right? Sigh, now that I think about it, this world is really wonderful. This Xiao cultivated Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, demons, and other divine abilities, but here, I can only rely on the demon race's divine abilities to escape. Looks like the saying of the ancients, there's no harm in having more skills, it's really not wrong. Also, this Xiao has seen many demons, and each one of them is all brawn and no brains. But why is this dragon race more cunning than the other? From Ao Jing to Ao Zhan, then to Ao Zheng, one scheme after another. They are simply more intelligent than the human race. Fortunately, there's Ao Tao in Deep Air Abyss who values friendship. Otherwise, this Xiao really wouldn't dare to deal with the dragon race in the future. Xiao Hua looked at the direction Ao Zheng and the others chased after him. After pondering for a moment, he turned around and flew in another direction. He found a call and hid in it like before. He already understood that in this stacked Jade Legacy realm, the divine abilities related to the dragon race were the most popular. Now, although he had obtained the Dragon Jade, he only focused on the dragon transformation art. He didn't cultivate the Heavenly Dragon Jade technique in the Dragon Jade technique. Just now, when he was forced to helplessly by Ao Zheng, Xiao Hua suddenly thought of the Heavenly Dragon Jade technique in a hurry. Sure enough, although Xiao Hua didn't cultivate it, in this stacked Jade Legacy realm, When Xiao Hua slightly used the Heavenly Dragon Jade technique, it immediately had an inconceivable effect. Since that was the case, there was still time. Why didn't Xiao Hua comprehend one or two Heavenly Dragon Jade techniques before looking for the Dragon Cleansing Pool? Chapter 4036. Xiao Hua hid in a secluded place and cultivated for more than a few months. A few months of time was really short for cultivation, not to mention the mysterious Heavenly Dragon technique. Xiao Hua only took a rough look at the Heavenly Dragon technique in the Dragon Jade and found two extremely simple ones. Moreover, he only tried them for a while before hurriedly flying out of the valley. After all, he didn't know when the training in the Stacked Jade Legacy realm would end, and he also didn't know how long he would spend looking for the Dragon Cleansing Pool. Xiao Hua flew into the air and looked left and right. The scenery around him didn't change. This time, the interval between the changes in the Stacked Jade Legacy realm was a bit long. Xiao Hua thought for a while and flew in a direction. Beside a stream, outside two mountains, three dragons playing with a pearl, for seasons alternating. Xiao Hua flew aimlessly as he muttered to himself. He scanned the area with his origin force to search for similar clues. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua flew for a few more days. Not only did he not find any obvious clues, he didn't even see a single dragon. He didn't even see a huge rock with a dragon crystal hidden in it. It was as if everything in the vicinity had been plundered by the dragon. It's a bit strange. Xiao Hua stopped in the air and pondered while pinching his chin. Could it be that in these few months, the Stacked Jade Legacy realm has undergone some changes? Woo! Just as Xiao Hua was pondering, a fishy wind suddenly blew from high up in the sky. Xiao Hua was startled and hurriedly looked up. However, the place where the wind blew was empty. He could only see the disorder of the dragon chi and couldn't see anything unusual. Xiao Hua narrowed his eyes and stared at the sky. He was already on guard. The sound of the wind definitely didn't come from nothing. There must be a dragon hiding there. Xiao Hua seemed to have already seen the dragon's sharp claws. Xiao Hua raised his hand and prepared to attack the space between his eyebrows and open the delirium breaker eye. But at this moment, a very surprised voice came from afar. At the same time, a trace of origin will also swept over. Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua's heart moved. He raised his eyes and looked towards the source of the voice. Following the sound of the voice, the dragon's aura that made Xiao Hua vigilant immediately disappeared. Taoist Master Xiao, do you still remember me? A voice that Xiao Hua found familiar came closer. When Xiao Hua saw it clearly, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. He whispered, "Immortal friend Xian? Long time no see. I didn't expect fellow Taoist Xian to also come to the Stacked Jade Legacy realm to train. Wasn't the person flying over from afar the former Western Sea Dragon Palace's vice inspector, Xian Cheng? To an old turtle like Xian Cheng, a few hundred years had passed in the blink of an eye. Xian Cheng still looked the same, turning into a short old man less than 3 feet tall. He still had a goatee on his chin, a pair of shifty eyes, and a medium-sized turtle shell on his back. It was exactly the same as Xiao Hua's impression. I'm ashamed. Xian Cheng flew closer and cupped his hands. I originally accompanied my family's third crown prince to participate in Dragon Island's experiential training, but I didn't expect to encounter the opening of the Stacked Jade Legacy realm. I was testing the purity of my bloodline in the Dragon Chi realm, but I didn't expect that I would actually reach the qualifications to enter the Stacked Jade Legacy realm, so I also came in to train. However, this old man is slow-witted. After so many years, my cultivation hasn't improved at all. I haven't gained anything during this time." When Xiao Hua heard what Xian Cheng said, he disapproved in his heart. That year in the so-called Western Sea, he clearly saw how Xian Cheng performed. That by Hao Jiao, who looked a lot more powerful than Xian Cheng on the surface and was also a lot more scheming, was played by him in the palm of his hand. How could he believe Xian Cheng's words now? That's right. Xiao Hua also said with a smile. This Xiao is similar to fellow immortal Xian. I also occasionally entered the Stacked Jade Legacy realm. First, I was thinking about how to escape, so how could I gain anything? Right now, this Xiao is waiting for the stacked jade legacy realm to close and leave. Oh, speaking of which, fellow immortal Xian, when will this stacked jade legacy realm close? When I was about to come, I heard my family's third crown prince say that it seems to be closing soon. Xian Qing replied. Right now, the time inside the stacked jade legacy realm is already the same as Dragon Island. When it accelerates again, it will be the beginning of the stacked jade legacy realm's closing. Time. Xiao Hua frowned and said in confusion. How can the changes of time be sensed? Oh, it's simple. Xian Cheng also concealed it and said with a smile. There is no time in the 4 seas. Above hidden immortal, there are 4 seasons. When spring comes, autumn comes, summer comes, and winter comes, that is the sign of time acceleration. Change of the 4 seasons. Xiao Hua's heart jumped and he couldn't help but cry out. Fellow immortal Xian, do you know what 3 dragons playing with a pearl is? 3 dragons playing with a pearl? Xian Qing stared blankly. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head and said, This old man doesn't know what Taoist means by that. It's nothing, it's nothing. Xiao Hua waved his hand and said. This Xiao was just thinking of something else. Oh, right, fellow immortal Xian, where are you heading to? Sigh. Xian Cheng sighed and said. This old man entered the stacked jade legacy realm and hid in a place. Just now, I received a message from my family's third crown prince. He wants me and the other subordinates of the Western Sea Dragon Palace to hurry to the Turning Dragon platform. Although this old man doesn't want to come out, I don't dare to disobey the crown prince's orders. I can't not go. Turning Dragon platform? How do you know that place is called Turning Dragon platform? Xiao Hua asked strangely. Who would have thought that Xian Qing was even more strange than him? Of course I don't know. But my family's third crown prince said the location and also said that the place is called Turning Dragon platform. Hee, Xiao Hua laughed self-deprecatingly. This Xiao thought too much. This Xiao thought that fellow immortal Xian was the same as this Xiao, entering the stacked jade legacy realm for the first time and not knowing where this place is. It's nothing. This old man is also very unfamiliar with this stacked jade legacy realm. Xian Cheng said with a smile. Before entering the legacy realm, this old man specially asked my family's prince. Otherwise, this old man also wouldn't know. Since that's the case. Xiao Hua looked at Xian Cheng who was smiling harmlessly and said, Fellow immortal Xian, you should go to the Turning Dragon platform. Don't let your family's third crown prince wait anxiously. As he spoke, Xiao Hua cupped his hands and wanted to bid farewell to Xian Qing. After all, Xiao Hua's current strength had already surpassed Xian Qing. He wasn't afraid that Xian Qing had any schemes. Moreover, looking at Xian Qing's slightly nervous expression, Xiao Hua also understood that Xian Qing definitely didn't expect that he would be able to come out of the Western Sea alive. He was very shocked to see him. Moreover, Xiao Hua wasn't afraid that Xian Qing would reveal this matter. After all, only he and Xian Qing knew about the Western Sea Eye. As for how big the Western Sea Eye was, Xian Qing probably knew much more than him. The mastermind of the Western Sea Eye was Xian Qing. If this matter was revealed, Xian Qing would undoubtedly die. What was he afraid of? At worst, he could just say that he saved the Grand Mist Ancestor. Although the Grand Mist Ancestor also didn't know that he was still alive, he had already asked Taoist Master Qing Su to recruit him several times. That. Xian Qing raised his hand and said with some hesitation, Taoist Master Xiao, please wait a moment. Fellow immortal Xian, is there anything else? Xiao Hua asked with a smile that wasn't a smile. Xian Qing hurriedly shook his head and said, There's nothing special. It's just that when Taoist Master asked about the 3 dragons playing with a pearl, this old man suddenly thought of the Turning Dragon platform. What do you mean? Xiao Hua was somewhat puzzled. What does the 3 dragons playing with a pearl have to do with the Turning Dragon platform? This old man is only guessing. Xian Qing said with a smile. According to my family's third prince's message, the Turning Dragon platform is a huge round platform, similar to a pearl. Moreover, the Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas will be fighting on the Turning Dragon platform. However, no matter what, It should be 4 dragons playing with a pearl and not 3 dragons playing with a pearl. What are the dragon palaces of the 4 seas fighting on the turning dragon platform for? Xiaohua was confused and asked curiously. Xiancheng replied, Taoist Master Xiao might not know that the dragon palaces of the 4 seas are led by the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace, but in reality, whether it's the Western Sea Dragon Palace, the Northern Sea Dragon Palace or the Southern Sea Dragon Palace, their strength is not inferior to the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace. Under the leadership of Dragon Island, the dragon palaces of the 4 seas seem to be very harmonious. On the surface, there is no change in the rankings, but secretly, there is no lack of competition between each other for this ranking. Of course, outside of the 4 seas, no one knows these secrets. That is to say, the turning dragon platforms fight is also one of the competitions. Xiaohua somewhat understood. Xianqing nodded. Not only this time's training in the folded Jade Legacy realm, but every time Dragon Island's training, the dragon palaces of the 4 seas will have this kind of competition. Every time Dragon Island's training nears the end, the dragon palaces of the 4 seas will find an opportunity to put their gains together and then distribute them according to the ranking of the competition. So much so that in the future, when there is a need for a ranking in many places, it will also be decided according to this ranking. Therefore, the dragon palaces of the 4 seas attach great importance to every training competition. As long as there is a contribution in the competition, the dragon clan will be rewarded. Speaking to here, Xiancheng paused for a moment and changed the topic. Taoist Xiao. This old man previously heard of the grudge between Taoist and the Immortal Palace. Originally, I thought it was just the same name, but now that I have seen Taoist, this old man knows that Blackwind Ridge's Xiaohua is Taoist. If Taoist wants to safely escape from the Immortal Palace's suppression, it is best to form a good relationship with my West Sea Dragon Palace. With my West Sea Dragon Palace's support, the Immortal Palace will not dare to make a move against Taoist. Of course, this old man is saying this for the sake of Taoist and also for my third prince. If Taoist makes a contribution in the competition, not only will third prince benefit, but this old man will also benefit. This Xiao only has the strength of a little over 5th grade essence energy. How can I defeat the dragon generals of the dragon palaces? Xiaohua repeatedly waved his hand. Xiancheng smiled and said, Taoist's current strength may not be a match for the other dragon generals of the dragon palaces, but Taoist's potential is something this old man has never seen before. Back then, Taoist's strength. This old man knows. How many years has it been? Taoist is actually already at 5th grade essence energy. This old man does not ask for anything else. I only ask for a warrior for my West Sea Dragon Palace. How is the relationship between the West Sea Dragon Palace and the North Sea Dragon Palace? Xiaohua frowned and asked in a low voice. Xiancheng said without hesitation. My West Sea Dragon Palace is the West Sea Dragon Palace. Not to mention the North Sea Dragon Palace, even if it is the East Sea Dragon Palace, even if it is the Immortal Palace, my West Sea Dragon Palace will not be afraid. Chapter 4037. Really? Xiaohua reminded with a faint smile, I just offended the 7th prince of the North Sea Dragon Palace, Ao Zheng. He couldn't wait to eat me alive. Fellow Taoist Xian, you have to think carefully. Ao Zheng. Xiancheng stared blankly and said with a bitter smile, How did you offend Ao Zheng again? The 7th prince of the North Sea is extremely narrow-minded and vengeful. Since you offended him, I'm afraid you won't have a peaceful day in the future. How about this? If you want to go to the Turning Dragon platform, you should first hide your appearance and wait for me to report to my third prince. If it doesn't work, don't blame me. If Xiancheng agreed, Xiaohua would naturally be suspicious. However, Xiancheng declined, and Xiaohua instead believed him. He might not go to the Turning Dragon platform to participate in the competition of the dragon palaces of the 4 seas, but he must go to the dragon cleansing pool. The competition Xiancheng mentioned was very similar to the 3 dragons playing with a pearl. Xiaohua had no choice but to go take a look. Xiaohua thought for a moment and nodded. All right, since that's the case, I'll go with fellow Taoist Xian. Xiaohua agreed, but Xianqing hesitated and said somewhat awkwardly, I can bring you there, but I have to report to my third prince first. Deal. Xiaohua replied straightforwardly, I'll do as fellow Taoist Xian said. Even if I can't participate in the competition of the dragon palaces of the Four Seas, it's enough for me to meet the third prince of the West Sea Dragon Palace. Fellow Taoist Xiao, please. Demonic clouds appeared under Xianqing's feet. He raised his hand slightly and flew away first. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and looked at Xianqing's back. He knew that Xianqing was rather unwilling, but he didn't care and urged his figure to follow. The two flew for a few hours. Xianqing, as he said, was not particularly familiar with the folded jadeite legacy realm. As they walked, they searched. Along the way, they did not see any dragon tribe. It seemed that the dragon tribe who were training in the folded jadeite legacy realm had gathered at the turning dragon platform to prepare for the competition in the dragon palace of the Four Seas. After flying for another hour, dragons gradually appeared in the same direction as Xianqing. Xianqing didn't greet these dragons and only flew forward with Xiaohua. Seeing a screen-like mountain range appear in front of the two, Xianqing stopped and said carefully, Enlightened one, please wait here for a moment. This old man will go and report to the third crown prince first. All right. Xiaohua nodded and stopped in midair, watching Xianqing fly away. Xiaohua released his essence perception and looked around, trying to find clues about the dragon cleansing pool. Unfortunately, after looking around for a while, Xiaohua frowned again. Although Xiaohua had yet to see the turning dragon platform, there were already many dragons nearby. How could the dragon cleansing pool be in such a place? Perhaps, this Xiao should go to the left side of the turning dragon platform to take a look. Xiaohua urged his figure and flew towards the turning dragon platform. Why did you barge into the forbidden area of the dragon palace of the Four Seas? Xiaohua had only flown a few thousand feet when two dragon generals appeared in midair and blocked Xiaohua's path. Forbidden area? Xiaohua looked into the distance and asked curiously, the stacked Jade Legacy realm is a place where we, the descendants of the dragon clan, train. When did this place become a forbidden area of the dragon palace of the Four Seas? Does the dragon palace of the dragon island know? The dragon island does not know. The dragon palace even more so does not know. The two dragon generals' eyes flashed with ominous glints as they surrounded Xiaohua from both sides. Cough cough. Not far away, Xianqing's coughs could be heard. He berated, What are you two waiting for? This is a dragon general of my West Sea Dragon Palace. Oh, so it is the West Sea Patrol envoy. When the two dragon generals saw Xianqing, their expressions relaxed as they said with a smile, This immortal friend did not mention his origin, how can we let him in? He even threatened us, saying that he will report this matter to the Dragon Palace. Hee, Taoist Xiao is just joking with you, no need to take it seriously. Xianqing waved his hand and said, You two go and patrol. This old man will bring him to see my third crown prince. All right. The two dragon generals nodded and flew away. Let's go. Xianqing brought Xiaohua to the vicinity of the turning dragon platform. He stopped and said with a smile, I will not hide it from Taoist Xiao. My third crown prince heard about Taoist Zhao's matter and felt somewhat troubled. My West Sea Dragon Palace is definitely not afraid of the Immortal Palace alone. But Taoist Xiao offended Ao Zheng, it is very troublesome. Third Crown Prince is not willing to fall out with the North Sea Dragon Palace in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. So, no problem. Xiaohua said with a smile, This Xiao will just walk around nearby. In a while, I will just watch the show from the side. Taoist Xiao, don't be anxious. Xianqing immediately waved his hand and said, Let this old man finish speaking. Although Third Crown Prince is not willing to offend Ao Zheng, he did not say that Taoist Xiao is not allowed to contribute to my West Sea Dragon Palace. Taoist Xiao only needs to wait by the side. If we need Taoist Xiao to take action, I believe that my third crown prince will not have any more misgivings. All right. Xiaohua did not really want to rely on the West Sea Dragon Palace, so he casually nodded his head. This Xiao will be nearby. If you need this Xiao to take action, Feel free to speak. Then, this old man will go over first. Xian Cheng finally relaxed. He raised his head to look at a place and said, North Sea Dragon Palace is over there. It seems that Ao Jing has not come over yet. Be careful by the side. Just don't let him see you. Xian Cheng exhorted a few more words before turning around and flying away. Xiaohua relaxed and looked towards the turning dragon platform. Indeed, it was as Xian Cheng said. This turning dragon platform was a spherical greenish-black round platform. It was several thousand zhang tall and towered on top of the mountain peak. It was very similar to a stone pearl. This round platform was perfectly round and flawless. It was truly a work of the gods. Damn it. There is a dragon pearl, but where are the 3 dragons of the 3 dragons playing with a pearl? Xiaohua's eyes looked all around, but he could not see anything strange. Xiaohua looked at the 4 groups of dragons gathered in the 4 directions of the turning dragon platform. There were also many dragons nearby who seemed to be watching the show. He prepared to leave. Right at this moment, the sound of wind whistling flew out from the direction of the East Sea Dragon Palace. A huge dragon rushed onto the turning dragon platform. He looked around and said loudly, This king is the East Sea Dragon Palace's 2nd crown prince, Ao Qiong. I believe that all the dragons already know what is going on here. The Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is about to close. Our training in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm will also end soon. The training in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm is an extremely rare opportunity for us. I believe that all of you have gained a lot in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. Today, my Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas will also hold a routine competition in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. We will once again distribute the treasures we obtained in the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm. This king also does not want to go into the details of the competition rules. This king only wants to say that the dragon who can stand on the turning dragon platform in the end will be the final winner. The group of dragons all roared, appearing very excited. Second Prince. At this moment, a dragon general flew out from the North Sea Dragon Palace. He said somewhat timidly beside the turning dragon platform, My 7th prince has not come yet. Can this competition be postponed? Ao Zheng is not here, but you all are. Ao Qiong did not give this dragon general any face at all. His dragon eyes looked towards the sky and shouted coldly, When Ao Zheng comes, it won't be too late to let him fight. But what if my 7th prince can't make it in time? That dragon general endured Ao Qiong's forceful dragon aura and said reluctantly. Hee. Ao Qiong sneered and said disdainfully again, The competition on the turning dragon platform is the joint decision of the Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas. The dragon race of the 3 Seas Dragon Palace has been waiting for more than 10 days. Ao Jing has not come yet. Could it be that we have to wait until the Stacked Jade Legacy Realm closes? Moreover, who knows if Ao Jing is afraid? Does he not dare to come? My East Sea Dragon Palace has plenty of dragons with intermediate 7th grade essence energy like him. It doesn't matter if he has one more or not. But that dragon general seemed to want to argue. Ao Qiong simply shouted, Does your North Sea Dragon Palace still want to participate in the competition? If you don't, just go to the last place. Alright. The dragon general did not dare to say any more. He hurriedly returned to discuss with the other dragon generals on how to deal with it. Dragon warriors. Ao Qiong's dragon aura lingered around his body. His dragon aura soared into the sky as he said encouragingly, The previous experience was nothing. The competition on the turning dragon platform is the real battle. Release your dragon aura, release your dragon aura. Let the heavens and earth tremble and let the seniors of the dragon region be excited. Roar. All the dragons roared. Especially the dragon generals of the East Sea Dragon Palace, West Sea Dragon Palace, and South Sea Dragon Palace. They urged their dragon bodies to pounce on the turning dragon platform. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws. They actually started to fight. As for the North Sea Dragon Palace, seeing that the Dragon Palace of the 3 Seas had already made their move, they did not dare to hesitate. Under the lead of a 6th grade Essence Energy Dragon, they also pounced over. In just a short moment, Miserable screams and angry roars could be heard in the air above the turning dragon platform. Pieces of flesh mixed with dragon blood fell onto the turning dragon platform. Motherfucker, Xiao Hua saw the dragon aura surging over like a tidal wave. That dragon aura and the strength of the battle were similarly spreading out in all directions like raging waves. He hurriedly retreated and secretly cried out in his heart, "How is this 3 dragons playing with a pearl? It's more like 100 dragons playing with a pearl. Forget it, I believe that there's no dragon cleansing pool here. I'd better go somewhere else?" Daoist Xiao. Just as Xiao Hua was about to turn around, Xian Cheng flew over and said with a smile, "Now is a good opportunity. North Sea Dragon Palace's Ao Zheng is not here. Daoist should quickly take advantage of this opportunity to get on the turning dragon platform. If you can defeat a few dragons, my 3rd prince will also gain face." "Get on the platform now?" Xiao Hua bitterly smiled. He pointed at the huge dragons churning on the turning dragon platform and said, "How strong are these dragons? If I go over now, wouldn't I be killed for nothing?" "AI, Daoist, now is a good opportunity to win in the chaos." Xian Cheng's expression slightly changed as he urged, "Moreover, Daoist's body is extremely small. There are also many opportunities for sneak attacks. If you don't go now, when will you? This old man has already reported this to the 3rd prince. If you don't go, not only will this old man lose face, you'll also make the 3rd prince unhappy. If the 3rd prince gets angry..." Xiao Hua's heart jolted. He thoughtfully looked at Xian Cheng and asked, "If the 3rd prince gets angry, what will happen?" "What will happen?" Xian Cheng sneered. "When humans get angry, blood will splatter 3 feet. When my dragon clan gets angry..." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.